overall seed in the NCAA tournament, but they bounced back with Gage Wood's historic performance. So now they've got renewed life to climb their way out of the losers bracket. Their bullpen is fresh, and they're trotting out ace Zach Root tonight after he threw just 38 pitches on Saturday.
Yeah, and it was a really uncharacteristic start for him. It was the shortest start of his career. He only threw 38 pitches, as you mentioned, over 1 2/3 innings, but he gave up 3 runs to that LSU offense. And in an interview afterwards, he said that, hey, he was not fatigued because he only threw that many pitches, but head coach Dave Van Horn called it a hard decision to take Root out of the game. However, he does get the chance here, the big, powerful left-handed thrower, to make amends in this game against UCLA.
He's on the field and going through his warm-up pitches now. That means Arkansas is the designated home team and UCLA the designated visiting team. Let's get you the lineup for the Bruins as presented by head coach John Savage. UCLA in at 48-17 on the season. Dean West will lead it off playing in left field. Then it's Rock Chalowski batting second as a shortstop. Mulavai Lavu bats third, playing at first base. Then it's the third baseman Roman Martin. A.J. Salgado in right field hits fifth. The center fielder Peyton Brennan bats sixth. Batting seventh, the DH today with the lefty Wood is Toussaint Bythewood. Batting eighth, doing the catching, Cash Duggar. And Phoenix Call rounds out the order for UCLA, hitting in the 9th spot and playing at second base. Zach Root, first team All-SEC as the ace of this staff. Huge get in the portal for the Razorbacks out of ECU last season.
Yeah, and one thing to note about Root, again, fastball circle change curve is what you're going to see, mid to upper 90s. The one thing is he has struggled when he doesn't get a full week of rest. In 4 starts with less than 6 days off, he has a 7 ERA.
And he's only had 2 full days off in between that start on Saturday night. Ready to go out of the windup here. And the first pitch into Dean West is upstairs for ball 1. A fastball at 94 miles an hour gets us underway here at 6:31. Wind is blowing in, not terribly strong. And there is the threat of some rain throughout the evening. We hope it stays away. West takes a called strike on the outside corner. Another fastball, 1-1. That's Gregory Street here making the strike call behind the plate. Jeff Head at first, Scott Latendre at second, Kellen Levy at third. Same crew we had in the game against LSU earlier today. West lays off the breaking ball off the outside. 2 balls and a strike.
And you mentioned the temperature. We're at 78 degrees here in the first inning. And hopefully, as you mentioned, there is some cloud cover overhead, but winds are definitely blowing in. It's a pitcher's park tonight.
West 3 for 8 here in the College World Series. And this one is a little nubber up the middle, backhanded by Kazul, and the second baseman has no play. He ranged all the way on the other side of second base, so that softly struck ground ball results in a leadoff infield single for West.
Yeah, that was coming off the bat of Dean West at 57 miles per hour, so certainly not a hard hit ball, but a single is a single, and it puts that leadoff runner on, and good speed for the Bruins.
And so the leadoff man aboard here in the top of the first. UCLA wearing their traditional road gray uniforms. Arkansas in the clean home whites. 1 on, nobody out in the top of the first. And first pitch swing, and Chalowski fouls it off to the right and out of play. Still looking for his first hit here in the College World Series. 0 for 8. Did have that RBI sac bunt against Murray State on Saturday. And he's been more aggressive at the plate. Swinging away at the first pitch there from Root. Now the pitch. And swinging away again. Base hit, center field, it falls. West will hold up at second. Vahiva Aloy, the shortstop. Kind of sized that one up, but he was not tall enough. A soft liner into center field. So it's back-to-back base knocks for UCLA. And they are threatening here en route immediately.
And I mean, that again was similarly, Rock did not get the greatest barrel on that one. 88 miles per hour. That pitch was a breaking ball. Kind of jammed him, but got it to fall. So that's 2 in a row. Outfield is playing deep, so it is conducive to those balls falling.
2 on, nobody out here in the top of the first, no score. And here is Mulavai Lavu, left on left here, with Root out of the stretch on the third base side of the rubber. And And the first pitch is down low. Breaking ball towards the outside for ball one. Lavu went 2 for 5 against LSU. Now 3 for 8 here in the College World Series. Still needs one more RBI to be at the top of the RBI chart in the nation. Breaking ball catches the outside. 1 ball and 1 strike against Lavu. 11 batted in the postseason for Levi, but 10 of those came all the way back on regional weekend. Good pace on the bases with Chalowski and Westabor. Root's pitch, swing and a miss. A late offering there from Lavu as the fastball was in at 93, down and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And an overhand release from Root on the mound, but I mean, Lavu swing really late on that pitch. I mean, that was almost in the glove by the time of the swing.
Now he has to protect down 1 and 2. Chalowski dancing off of first. Lavu a protective swing. He will lift it foul and out of play. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Root grew up in Fort Myers. Spent a couple of years at ECU. Very good numbers last season for the Pirates. A 3.56 ERA and 12 starts. But another one of these guys who has played at a mid-major and transferred to an SEC school and taken off like a rocket.
I mean, it's incredible, and I mean, it just shows that these players can come from anywhere.
He's 9th in the nation with 121 strikeouts, bidding for 122, but he puts that one off the outside, and Lavu takes it to even the count, 2 and 2.
And even in terms of just workload as well, nearly 100 innings of work this season, so he certainly, that arm has gone through a lot of innings.
Team's hitting .222 against him, but UCLA with back-to-back base hits to start this ball game on some weak contact. 2-2, and Lavu drives it in the air to right center field into the gap. Ranging is Maxwell from right. He will defer to the center fielder Thomas Jr. UCLA will advance each runner up, though, on the long flyout into that cavernous outfield. West to third, Chalowski to second. So for Lavu, it is an out. But he does put 2 in scoring position now with 1 away.
Yeah, it's heads-up base running at first by Chalowski to tag along with Dean West, and that brings up Roman Martin, who's had an excellent postseason so far. Several hard-hit balls, and he has 2 sitting ducks out there here in the first inning.
Martin with 14 batted in here in the postseason, the most for the Bruins, including 3 over the first 2 games here in the College World Series. Second and third. First base open, 1 away in the top of the first. Bruins looking to strike first. Root back into the windup. Misses off the outside. Elfrick, the catcher, tried to frame it, did not get the call. Was that maybe the first circle change that Root brought out right there?
It was at 86 miles per hour.
1 ball, no strikes. Lefty on righty matchup here. A breath from Root. Now turns, kicks, and throws. And that bounces in. Goes to the slider, 2 balls and no strikes.
And he's really been liking that breaking ball as his primary pitch all season, but he has not been very good at getting in the zone this inning. 7 strikes in 14 pitches.
Elimination game, the winner will face LSU tomorrow night, needing to beat the Tigers twice to advance to the championship series. The pitch, that's inside and high, the fastball in at 94, but it's 3-0. A.J. Salgado on deck. I think there's an element of Root pitching around Martin to get to a left-handed bat in Salgado and try and bring a double play back into the equation.
Absolutely, and the lefty-lefty matchup.
Here's the pitch. Called strike on the inside. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a really emphatic strike call from Gregory Street. Leaves no doubt.
Absolutely. He wants you to know. I mean, we're up in the press box, and you're hearing Mike's on the field, but he's loud.
And you could hear him from every corner of the ballpark, I believe. So it's 3-1 to Martin. No score, top of the first. Second and third, 1 out. Here's the pitch. And there's a called strike 2. Gets it at the knees. Martin thought it was ball 4. Perhaps a little bit low, but pretty close, and it's a full count.
Yeah, I mean, on our stat tracking here, it looks like that was right on the corner. I think you can't be more on the corner than that pitch.
So full count to Martin. Root, glove over his face, kicks and throws. And it's fouled back into the screen. Came in on the hands, and Roman Martin will see one more. So Root throwing 38 pitches on Saturday, and at the very least, UCLA is making this a laborious first inning. He's already up to 18 pitches, and he still doesn't have 2 outs yet.
Yeah, 1 out in the inning, and 7 pitches coming up here against Roman Martin.
West on third, coming way down the line with him out of the windup, and now time is called. Gregory Street, the plate umpire, calls time. And I'm not sure if the pitch clock needed to be pumped. He gave that indication. But West, did you notice he came almost halfway down the line over there? He's not being held on, and Root is in the windup.
Yeah, he's jumping like Jackie Robinson did.
3-2. The pitch to Martin is grounded foul on the third base side. He will see an 8th pitch of the at-bat.
Yeah, this has turned into definitely a battle, and it's interesting how Root has been approaching Martin. Started off with a couple of off-speed pitches, that curveball and then a changeup. Then he's gone fastballs back to the off-speed here.
Can UCLA get on the board early? That has been their MO here in the postseason, and it has largely worked to their advantage. 2 in scoring position for the guy who has had the clutch hits here in the playoffs. They'll pitch. Down low, ball 4. Martin is aboard.
That's a great at-bat by Martin. 87-mile-per-hour pitch that was just down in the dirt, so it was an easy ball 4. And now if you're Root on the mound, as we're getting a mound visit here from the pitching coach, Matt Hobbs, who's in his 7th season with the Razorbacks. But now the entire infield is out here talking on the mound, and it actually appears that there are a couple of players headed to the Arkansas bullpen. So, I mean, certainly he only threw 38 pitches in that previous outing, but at the same time, he is in a bases-loaded situation, only 1 out, facing A.J. Salgado coming up here, and this is just really a recipe for UCLA to tack on runs early.
3 on, 1 out in the top of the first. Couple of singles and a walk have loaded the bases for UCLA. A.J. Salgado will be the batter as this mound visit is broken up. But yes, as Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach, came out, a couple of players ran down to the bullpen for Arkansas in the left field corner. And they are getting guys loose. Now, Root can say he's not too fatigued, but this is still win or go home.
Yeah, and I mean, that just might be posturing to the media. Perhaps, of course, he's a gamer out there and wants to be on the mound. But, I mean, hey, 38 pitches a couple days ago is challenging for any pitcher.
Here's the first pitch to Salgado. Breaking ball right there for a called strike. Salgado here in the College World Series, 3 for 6 with 3 batted in.
Salgado has been pretty aggressive on the first pitches of an at-bat. See what he does here.
Root shakes off the first pitch call, now deals, and it's a swing and a miss. Goes right back to the breaking ball, puts it down and away, and Salgado chases. It's 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, that had, in addition to the vertical break on that one, it had 12 inches of horizontal break. Now, Root kind of stands in the middle of the mound, so lefty-lefty matchup makes it tough to see.
3 on, 1 out. 0-2 to Salgado. The pitch. Check swing, and he did not go. Pitch was down and away, and Kellen Levy at third said Salgado checked his swing. 1 and 2. Is that a curve or a slider we are seeing from Root?
He calls it a spiked curveball. So it's basically a curveball, almost like a knuckle curve, but, you know, it's just extra movement on the top. Spiked curveball, 12-6 movement.
There we go. Now the 1-2. Salgado tags it to short. It's caught out of the air by Aloy. Everybody able to get back to their bases. And Salgado is retired, unable to drive in a run with the bases loaded and 1 out. Now 2 away. Kind of a soft liner there, not totally tattooed, but Aloy in good position, able to glove it right above the dirt.
Yeah, Aloy just kind of dropped to one knee to grab this, a bit of a sinking line drive. And he didn't even have to move laterally there, but now there's 2 outs in the inning. Bruins would love to get a run in here to get on the board.
Here's Peyton Brennan. Again, West, he's going to steal home. Here's the pitch in, and West, did he get in there? No, he is out. Dean West wants a challenge. I don't know if they'll get it, and it looks like John Savage will ask for it. West is going back in the dugout because either he's out or he has scored. But West came halfway down the line and then took off with Root out of the windup. Head first slide. The throw beat him. Did his fingertip get there? It may have.
It may have.
We have to see if there is an angle to show that West's fingertips got there, but it is incredibly close as Helfrich was pretty quick with the tag. And oh, I don't know if this will be overturned.
I think the question is going to be on that right shoulder as the umpires on the field are checking for a review. We're seeing a couple of angles here on our monitor here up top. And here, one more look. He gets his right hand in, but there is the possibility here that
I don't think this can be any closer. I mean, does he hit the corner? I think he may.
He may have gotten in.
See, the problem with this angle is from one side, you can't see where the tip of the glove is. Is it hitting his arm yet or not? I think it beat him. I think it beat him by a fraction of an inch.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that the call on the field is that he's out at home. So they need to overturn it. There needs to be enough evidence for them to overturn it to be called safe.
And I don't see them doing that. And good awareness by Root. He just lobbed a pitch in. And here's the call. Yep, he's out. A gutsy play by Dean West. He nearly pulled it off. But UCLA will come up empty.
I mean, you talk about baseball being a game of inches, and we saw him that entire inning. The moment he got to third, he was jumping, just trying to test if Root, who was in the windup, was paying any attention to him. He was halfway down the line when he started for home, but Root was very quick to get that ball to the plate.
The answer is yes, Root was aware the entire time and just waiting for him to go. And a matter of an inch, the difference between UCLA having a 1-0 lead or not. And they do not. West is out just in the nick of time. So UCLA with 2 hits in the first. They load the bases with 1 out, but come up empty. And now they will head out defensively. Let's get you the lineup for Arkansas, provided by Dave Van Horn, the longtime head coach of the Razorbacks, his 23rd season. They come in at 49 and 14. Charles Davalon leads off and plays in left field. Vahiva Aloy, standout shortstop, hits second. Then it's the right fielder Logan Maxwell hitting third. The catcher will hit cleanup. That's Ryder Helfrich. Cam Kojol, the second baseman, bats fifth. Kuhio Aloy, the younger brother, is the DH hitting sixth. Reese Robinette is the first baseman hitting seventh. Brent Iredale plays at third base and bats eighth. And rounding out the order, the center fielder, Justin Thomas Jr. Look who's on the mound for UCLA. For the first time since late March, it is Cody Delvecchio. He is pitching for the first time and going on 3 months. He was ineligible for the back half of the season, but he is now eligible here this week, and it'll be his 8th start of the season. Delvecchio's numbers, he's got a 6.82 ERA, a 1-3 record. He's got strikeout stuff, no question about it, with that mid-90s fastball, 36 of them in 33 innings against just 12 walks. But he has been hit, and oftentimes it's been loud contact. 22 of the 36 hits that he has allowed this year have gone for extra bases.
Yeah, and opponents are batting .279 off of him. And a quick look at what stuff he's got on the mound. You referenced that fastball, mid-90s, 94 to 96. He's got a good hard slider, a decent curveball, and also a changeup as well. But his bread and butter is that fastball and that slider. Not a big guy on the mound, 5'10", which probably one of the shortest in the College World Series. And a couple of stories here. Obviously, his first appearance since the end of March. And, of course, he's here in an elimination game, but he's a bulldog on the mound, someone who shows a lot of emotion, and certainly someone that the Bruins can hope get them through this part of the game.
The next pitch, or rather his first pitch, will be his first in 81 days. And it's a fastball for a called strike at the belt on the outside at 95 miles per hour against Charles Davalon. Delvecchio has kept himself ready for this very opportunity despite being ineligible. He has kept in shape, and he's hoping to extend UCLA's season. Gets a strike at the bottom of the zone. Is that a cutter there, or a two-seamer there at 91?
Something like that.
Oh, ahead 0-2 against Davila. He's hitting .391 here in the postseason. And that pitch down and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Another fastball from Del Vecchio. Interesting to note for this Arkansas offense, which is incredibly balanced. 6 guys hitting over 300. 7 guys that have 13 or more home runs. Been quiet here in Omaha, but right on cue, there's a base hit through the left side for Davila. On a 2-strike pitch, he's able to go the other way, and that has been the bugaboo here today for UCLA. We saw it from LSU earlier, and first batter for Arkansas tonight on a 1-2 pitch. Davila able to plunk it into left field.
I mean, bugaboo indeed. I mean, that was just a fastball that, again, maybe a cutter or a two-seam at 90 miles per hour, exited his bat at 101. So definitely not a cheap hit, an easy single. So the Razorbacks are on board.
Here is the SEC Player of the Year and a Golden Spikes finalist, Vahiva Aloy. And he swings right through a fastball. Talk about a challenge fastball. That was right over the plate. And it's a foul tip into Duggar's glove for strike 1.
Yeah, he's not afraid. I mean, he might have last pitched in March, but the velo is there. That one was at 94.
Out of the stretch now from the first base side. And the pitch is on the outside corner at the belt. Another fastball at 94. It's 0-2.
I mean, he's very much in the zone as well. 6 pitches, 5 strikes.
Aloy 3 for 8 here in the College World Series. A little bit quiet by his standards throughout the course of the postseason, as that is down low. Meets the dirt as it finds Duggar's glove. 1 ball and 2 strikes. But Aloy hitting .308 here in the postseason. A couple of home runs. But all that came back in the regional. Upright stance from the right side. And he takes down low again. This one towards the outside. There's that secondary fastball missing. 2 balls and 2 strikes with no score here in the last of the first. 1 on, nobody out for Arkansas. Del Vecchio set, holding at his chest. 2-2 pitch is hit high in the air to right field. Way back there and gone. Vahiva Aloy tattoos a 2-2 fastball the opposite way. It's his team-leading 21st home run of the year, and Arkansas has grabbed the early 2-0 lead.
I mean, Vahiva Aloy, Oppo Taco 109 off the bat, projected distance 377 feet. I mean, that was a no-doubter, and he plays with so much swag on the field. Has a big gold chain. In fact, his first name means prized one in Hawaiian. And he's been leading this team, certainly that home run count, but also just the vibe in that dugout.
It's his 3rd home run in the NCAA tournament. All have come with 2 strikes. And now here is Logan Maxwell, who shows bunt and takes inside. Ball 1. So he got a challenge fastball to start the at-bat. Foul tipped it, got another one, and did not miss.
No, and that one, bit of a mistake pitch. It was just up.
Now here's a swing and a miss. There's a changeup from Del Vecchio. To get a swinging strikeout of Maxwell, 1-1 with Cody able to go back out of the windup. Del Vecchio deals. And there's another swing and a foul tip into the glove. 1-2. Put that one down low below the knees.
Yeah, it appears to be some type of cutter. Only has a couple of inches of break. He's using that fastball, the cutter, then a breaking ball.
Ahead against the TCU transfer, Logan Maxwell, 1-2. The pitch. And that is down low in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Del Vecchio still looking for his first out here as UCLA now trails 2-0 here in the last of the first. Bruins could not cash in with the bases loaded themselves. And now playing from behind. Swing and a miss. He got him. Change up there from Del Vecchio, and he's got a strikeout and his first out here in the first inning.
Good bounce back by Del Vecchio on the mound, but I mean, that home run in the first inning is exactly what Arkansas wants to do. We're seeing the replay of the swing. He did a nice bat flip after that home run. One thing to note, the wind is blowing in towards the batter's box, so he hit that into the wind, and he had so much power on it that he was still able to get it out.
Now here is Helfrich, the catcher, and grounds it to third. Diving stab to his left. Roman Martin up with it in the throw to first in time. And Helfrich is retired. 2 quick outs there for Del Vecchio.
Went back to the cutter there, and Roman Martin just kind of fell over to the side to get this one at the hot corner. 95 off the bat, and a nice strong throw over to Lavu. So now 2 outs. Arkansas, though, already up 2-0 with 3 hits already.
Now here is Cam Kojol. Left-handed hitter. He shows and takes a fastball for a strike on the outside. So Kojol, a local kid, grew up here in Omaha. Played at Vanderbilt last year, now a sophomore with Arkansas. And fouls this one straight back, 0-2, 95 miles an hour there from Del Vecchio.
That one hit off of Cash Duggar's face mask, and this actually happened in the morning game where it tipped his face mask and actually took off the front part. Uses that 2-piece catcher's helmet, kind of disperses the energy behind the dish.
Infield swung around to pull against a left-handed hitter. Outfield very deep. Here's the pitch. And it's grounded foul on the first base side, bouncing up into the stands. Still 0-2 to Cam Kojol, 2-time Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year before playing college ball. He's 1 for 7 here in the College World Series. It's an Arkansas team that, coming into the game, was hitting just a collective .219 here in Omaha. Hits it high in the air down the left field line, slicing into foul ground. Martin giving chase, runs into the tarp roll up there, and it gets into the seats out of play. Martin bounces right back up. Well, good to see that he is okay, but he clipped the back edge of the tarp roll there. Now that's how you can hurt a knee.
And he might have even face planted into one of the railings. Now luckily, everything here at Charles Schwab Field has padding on the railings, but I mean, when you're running full force into that tarp, that's gonna hurt a knee. But he looked all right jogging back to third base.
Yeah, no worse for wear. Yeah, the first contact was that left knee on the tarp. Still 0-2 to Kojol. Del Vecchio winds and throws. Swing and a miss. Got him on a high fastball, and that'll end the inning. So after the home run, Del Vecchio bounces back, couple of strikeouts, retires 3 in a row. But it is Arkansas taking the early lead thanks to the 2-run homer from Vahiva Aloy. After 1, it's Arkansas 2, UCLA nothing. We head to the second inning here at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. Elimination game between UCLA and Arkansas. The winner advances to face LSU tomorrow night, needing to beat the Tigers twice to advance to the championship series. This is part of bracket 2 and bracket 1. Prior to this game, what a thrilling finish that was. Louisville walked off Oregon State 7-6 to eliminate the Beavers and advance to the final of bracket 1 against Coastal Carolina tomorrow. Beavers erased a 3-run deficit in the 9th just for Louisville to walk them off in the bottom half. Peyton Brennan at the plate, and he takes a called strike from Roots.
And if there's anything that Louisville Oregon State game showed, is that you can never rest on your laurels. I mean, they came back immediately and took that game.
Now Brennan swings and fouls the pitch, backing out of play. Now quickly 0-2. Brennan was at the plate when West unsuccessfully stole home. So he's got a fresh count here, but ever since that mound visit, when the bases got loaded, Root appears to have settled back down after getting into some early trouble. 0-2 pitch is high. 1 ball and 2 strikes. UCLA did force Root to throw 25 pitches in that first inning. Might be able to get into that Arkansas bullpen before too long. The lefty kicks and throws, and Brennan taps one right back to him. He walks towards first, throws out Brennan, and there's one away.
And he's just inducing weak contact, which is exactly what you want to do. Look, your offense here got a couple of runs on the board. UCLA was threatening. And he's just trying to send them up 1, 2, 3.
Root's outing against LSU was the anomaly here in the postseason. In the regional against Creighton, 6 shutout innings. Then in the Supers against Tennessee, allowed 1 earned run in 7 innings. And then against LSU, could not get out of the second inning against the Tigers after allowing 3 runs. Here's a pitch, and it's high to Toussaint Bythewood, who is starting for the second time here in the postseason. We saw him last weekend against UTSA. Had a very good ball game. 1 for 4 with a couple runs batted in. 1-0 pitch, upstairs once again. 2-0 after a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. But with a lefty on the mound, Bythewood, the right-handed hitter, getting the start as the DH.
Yeah, lets him see that fastball a little bit better out of the 3-quarter throwing Root.
Now the pitch, and that is up high above the belt once more. So 3 in a row above the letters there from Root. 3 balls and no strikes as UCLA looks for a 1-out base runner here in the second, trailing 2-0. Root looking for the zone, and he's got it there on the inside. Another fastball. 3 balls and a strike to Bythewood, the junior, out of Encino and Harvard Westlake. Now the 3-1. And Bythewood fouls it straight back. Full count now.
That was a challenge fastball on 3-1. Ended up just on the inside part of the plate. Bythewood, good contact and just sent it straight back. The Root has not been afraid of being in the zone all throughout the count with the fastball, at least in these early pitches.
Bythewood 5 for 16 overall this season. And on the 3-2, he strikes out swinging. Tardy on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. So Root picks up his first strikeout after falling behind 3-0.
I mean, that swing was similarly like Lavue's in the first inning, was so late. Almost like they were sitting slider there with 2 strikes on that 3-2 count. That entire at-bat to Bythewood was all fastballs. Got him to Kei on that 94 inside.
So Root has retired the first 2 here in the second. Now it's Cash Duggar. Left-handed hitting catcher takes on the outside corner. Another fastball, strike 1. UCLA full of homegrown players, and it's one thing you notice when you look at the 8 teams here in Omaha, and only 5 now left in play for the national championship. And there's the curveball up and in, out of the zone, 1-1. Out of the 40 players on UCLA's roster, 37 of them are what you might call homegrown. They recruited them directly, non-transfers. As Root's pitch is a called strike, curveball on the outside, corner 1 and 2. Nobody else here in the College World Series has fewer than 10 transfers.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, it just shows that this is a team that was built from the ground up, and it's a very young team, relatively speaking, in the College World Series.
With 2 strikes, an overshift against Duggar, and he's rung up. Fastball at 97 on the outside corner. Duggar disagrees. It's back-to-back strikeouts for Root, and he retires UCLA in order. After 1.5, it's Arkansas 2, UCLA nothing. Welcome back inside Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. An elimination game for UCLA and Arkansas. And the Hogs in front of the Bruins 2-0. Arkansas will hit here momentarily for the last of the second. UCLA here in the College World Series for the 6th time in program history. The 4th under head coach Sean Savage. And able to get back here for the first time in a dozen years. Meanwhile, for Arkansas, it is their 12th time here in the College World Series. 10 of those have come under Coach Dave Van Horn, but they have never won it all. Twice they have been runners-up, including in 2018, where a dropped pop-up proved fatal, and they ended up losing to Oregon State that year. Now, this is one of the best programs in the nation to have never won a national title.
It's pretty incredible, and that's why they've got that 3 ranking nationally.
Second place in the SEC. And here is the younger Aloy, Kuhio Aloy, taking ball 1 down and away from Cody Delvecchio. 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup. Reese Robinette, Brent Iredale to follow. 2-0 Arkansas. Delvecchio's pitch down low. 2 balls and no strikes. Kuhio Aloy, don't let his older brother overshadow him. He's had a terrific year as well. First team All-SEC. Hitting .323 with 13 home runs and a team-leading 70 batted in as he skies this one down the right field line and out of play. It's now 2 balls and a strike.
And even his swing is very similar to his brother's. Kind of has a bit of an uppercut swing and not afraid to take it to the other side of the field. I mean, the home run by brother Aloy in the previous inning, I mean, that was just exactly the same swing, but just straightened out.
Kuhio quiet though here in the postseason, just 192, and has to bend back out of the way of this fastball running inside. 3-1 as he leads off the home half of the second inning. Kuhio Aloy is 0 for 5 with a pair of walks here in the College World Series. And he does not have ball 4 like he thought. And that's a called strike there on the outside. Full count now as he took a step toward first base.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much in the zone by quite a bit, actually.
Full count now. Delvecchio, toes pointed towards the third base line, deals. And that is a ground ball up the middle, base hit. That was tagged off the bat by Aloy, and he's aboard with a leadoff single.
I mean, tagged is an understatement. That was 115 off the bat, which I think at least in the games that we've done here at Charles Schwab Field, the College World Series, that is the hardest hit ball we've seen.
And these are the hardest hit balls that we've seen all year from LSU and now Arkansas. They have been producing some really solid contact. Heck, even Murray State had some loud contact as well. It's interesting here in Omaha how you don't necessarily get the home runs, but you get a lot of contact. These offenses really come to play. Now here's Reese Robinette hitting from the left side and swings and misses. There's that changeup from Del Vecchio to get him in front, 0-1. Robinette has become the guy at first base for the Hogs late in the season. Had to shuffle some things around. Kojal was originally at first as the bunt is foul on the third base side. And Nolan Souza, the original starting second baseman, get a season-ending injury in April. So Kojal moved from first to second. And after mixing things up for a little while, Robinette has now established himself to take over at first base. Hitting .286 here in the postseason. And on the 0-2, he's able to check his swing on a high fastball. Now 1-2. 2-0 Arkansas. And they're at the plate here in the last of the second. A runner aboard on first base and no outs. Oloy, a modest lead over there with UCLA playing the left-handed hitter to pull. The pitch, grounded at Lavu. He turns, throws to second for one. Chalowski back to first, double play. Bruins able to wipe away the leadoff single. They turn it 3-6-3. Bases clear, and now 2 outs.
And just done exclusively by 2 of the best fielders in the country. 3-6-3, Willie by Lavu throwing it over to Rock Chalowski. And then Lavu has to turn and run back to first base and get that receiving throw, which was thrown pretty hard by Chalowski. Well done.
Both Lavu and Chalowski are Gold Glove finalists. And they are certainly well deserving. So 2 outs, nobody aboard for Iredale. And he takes just off the outside from Del Vecchio, 1-0. It's incredible in college if you can win a Gold Glove because it's just 1 per position for the entire country. Overshift on here against the right-handed hitter as he fouls it back and out of play. 1-1 to Brent Iredale, the junior out of Sydney, Australia. A round of applause for a fan who caught that foul ball out of the air 3 rows into the second deck.
How about that? Love a web gem.
A ball and a strike. Del Vecchio delivers. Down and away. 2-1 to Iredale, who is the first native-born Australian to play at Arkansas. He knows how to get on base, leads the team in walks and hit by pitches. Ahead 2-1, Del Vecchio's pitch. Fastball lined up the middle, past a reaching Phoenix call into center field. And it's a 2-out single for Iredale.
Iredale almost tagging Cody Del Vecchio on that swing. 98 miles per hour off the bat, but that pitch was right down the middle. Now Del Vecchio so far, I mean, 4 hits Arkansas has been able to get off of him. He has been in the zone, but I mean, just to your point earlier in the broadcast about Del Vecchio, he has been hit quite a bit this season. Coming into this, had over a hit per inning.
36 hits in 33 innings earlier this year. Quick pickoff throw back safely, though, is Iredale. Batter is Justin Thomas Jr., the center fielder, hitting from the right side. 2-0 Arkansas, home half of the second. Bruins keep the overshift on with 3 to the left of second. And here's a bunt into the shift. And on one hop, Del Vecchio picks it up, throw to first in time. They got him. That was a difficult play. Del Vecchio tried to get it out of the air, realized he could not. Looked a little wobbly with the footing before ultimately barehanding it off the turf, rifling the throw to get Thomas Jr. And that'll end the inning. 2 hits, 1 left for Arkansas. After 2, it's the Razorbacks 2, the Bruins 0. Start of the third inning here in Omaha. Win or go home for UCLA and Arkansas, and it's an early 2-0 lead for the Razorbacks. Bruins will have 9, 1, and 2. Due up, Call, West, and Chalowski. Zach Root, the left-hander, continues for Arkansas. This pitch his 40th, and it's a breaking ball for a strike over the inside to Call for strike one.
Yeah, through 40 pitches so far, he's 5 for 9 first pitch strikes. UCLA took advantage of that in the first inning, but couldn't cash in.
Phoenix Call hitless against LSU as he fouls this one straight back and out of play. Quickly 0-2. Call going without a hit against the Tigers. First game this postseason. He did not have a base knock. Still hitting .409 collectively, including 2 for 6 here in Omaha. Defense straight up against him from Arkansas. And the 0-2 is a called third strike on the outside. And that's another called third strike that UCLA does not like. That one looked off the plate. Helfrich brings it back. And he gets the call. So that is now 3 consecutive strikeouts for Zach Root, extending back to the second inning.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough strike 3 call, but if you're the Bruins offense right now, you do not want to let Root determine your fate. Good job by working the count, certainly getting a pitch to hit, but you want to be the final decider of your fate.
So Root has really settled in since getting into trouble in that first inning as he misses high and outside to Dean West with a fastball, 1-0. So if you count the failed steal home of West as getting it out here, so 1, 2, that is 6 retired in a row for Root since he had that walk to Roman Martin back in the first. There's a called strike on the outside to West. A ball and a strike. Dean with a leadoff single. Able to get a soft ground ball up the middle, not all the way through. Bruins take a base runner any way they can get it. Fastball, and there's a soft grounder, foul up the first base line.
West running all the way to first base, and the beauty of a foul ball like that is you can take your time getting back to the batter's box, and that's exactly what he is doing. He is doing a very dramatic walk. Just the batting gloves. Brock Chalowski out there with the bat. Nice little stroll, don't you think?
Just trying to disrupt the timing of Zach Root, and you heard Gregory Street say, hold up, but West decided he was going to run all the way through the bag, and he is just now putting his feet in the batter's box.
Walk complete, check.
2-0 Arkansas with West at the plate here in the top of the third. Base is clear, 1 away. Infield shaded to pull. Iredale, though, hugging the line at third. Outfield straight away. 1-2, up and in. West leaning back out of the way. Fastball came in at 93. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
All fastballs in this at-bat to West. Similar to his first at-bat. He only saw 1 curveball.
Root kicks and throws. Breaking ball lifted in the air down the left field line. Trailing foul out of play.
And the wind at the moment is a bit steady, but a slight breeze still coming in, but it is pulling a bit more to left field, down the left field line. That ball wasn't hit particularly hard off the bat, but it kind of carried into the crowd.
A gentle breeze as we look at the flags out beyond the center field wall. UCLA trying to make up a 2-run deficit as they hit here in the visiting third. 2-2 to West. Root's pitch. And check swing. No, he went. And he's called out at the plate. Couldn't lay off the breaking ball. Make it 4 strikeouts in a row for Root.
And a breaking ball down in the dirt. This one fully in the dirt, in fact, and a very dramatic call. A self-made call by Gregory Street, the home plate umpire, but he absolutely went on this pitch as we take a look at the view from the side. So Root, to your point, has absolutely settled into this game. Of course, this is the second time through the order. Part of the lineup coming up. 2 outs, base is clear for Rock Chalowski, who got his first hit here in Omaha
in the first inning. And fouls the first pitch, backing out of play for strike one.
Seems like another play made by a fan, but Chalowski continuing to be aggressive early in the count. That was a first pitch breaking ball.
And he's been swinging at just about every first pitch today, both in this game and in the LSU game this morning. Root shakes off 2 pitches, and now he's ready to go. A breath and a heave. Breaking ball upstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Couple of sliders to start this at bat. Chalowski spitting on this one, which was way out of the zone.
Chalowski along with Aloy, 2 of the best shortstop in the game on the field here. Here's a foul ball that's up by us and above us. It actually cleared the awning that extends out above our heads and is going to roll back onto the street behind us.
I'll be honest, I was so ready to catch that one. I got up.
That's the highest foul ball we have seen all week.
He wanted to send one to us.
Very nice of him. Now on the 1-2, a half swing bouncer to first, right at Robinette. Takes 1 step to his left to the bag for the out. And UCLA is down in order here in the third. 8 retired in a row by Zach Root. And after 2.5 in Omaha, it's Arkansas 2, UCLA nothing. Last of the third coming up here at the College World Series. UCLA trailing Arkansas 2-0 in this elimination game. Winner stays alive to face LSU tomorrow night. The loser is done during the 2025 season. Cody Delvecchio back to work for UCLA. He will face the lineup for a second time. Davallon, Aloy, and Maxwell do up 1, 2, 3 for the Razorbacks. They've got the leadoff man aboard in each inning. They already have 4 hits, but Delvecchio and the defense behind him doing well to get a double play and post a 0 there in the second. Now looking for a cleaner start here to inning number 3 as he deals with Charles Davallon first. The left-handed hitting left fielder sent one the other way to lead off the first. Wide crouch stance. And Delvecchio's first pitch fastball is fouled high and out of play.
And of course, back at the top of the lineup is Cody Delvecchio. One time through the order, 35 pitches, 7 of 10 first pitch strikes, and he's really been using that fastball and that cutter really as the majority of his pitches. Only a few off-speed pitches of those 35 thrown.
Goes into his short windup. A 1 pitch is just inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Davallon, who's a Canadian out of Montreal. Went to an academy in Florida before then going to Florida Gulf Coast. A year there, and now a sophomore with Arkansas. Has had an All-American season and takes a strike on the inside corner.
And a good frame by Cash Duggar behind the plate. Might have been just below the knees, but Duggar, a premier catcher behind the plate, able to sweep back up into the zone to get the call.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Delvecchio's pitch is skied to right field. Salgado starts in to his left and makes the catch. Feels like not very often we get routine flyouts here in Omaha.
Might be the first one I can remember.
First one in a long time, certainly in this game. So it's a leadoff flyout induced by Delvecchio, one away here in the last of the third.
And Phoenix call on that flyout ran all the way into right field, almost to where Salgado is. That was a pretty standard flyout ball to right field.
Here's Vahiva Aloy. Takes a fastball for a strike on the outside at 94. Maybe Cole just wanted to say hi to Salgado real quick.
I mean, nothing wrong with saying hey to a teammate. Little jog.
Fastball spiked in by Delvecchio. 1-1 to Aloy, who had the two-run homer to right field in the first inning, supplying our only run so far tonight. Aloy, a finalist for the Golden Spikes Award, along with Tennessee starting pitcher Liam Doyle and Florida State shortstop Alex Lodis. Down and away, 2-1 to Aloy. That award will be given out on Saturday. So we will find out who the Golden Spikes Award winner is soon enough.
He's making a good case for himself.
2-1 pitch, and again it's off the outside. Easy take there on the slider. 3 balls and a strike.
That's 3 straight to Aloy, who had that homer back early on in the game in the first inning.
Upright stance from the right side. Well built at 6'2", 200. 3-1 fastball grounded to short. Chalowski charges, has it with the glove. The throw on the run in plenty of time for out number 2.
That's a 6. Well, I guess the 6th player, shortstop grounding out to the other shortstop on the other team. Both of these guys, though, I mean, hey, top of their games in the country. I mean, both of them 20-plus home runs, hitting well over 300. Both of those might be big names one day.
Certainly seems we're trending in that direction. Aloya Jr., he will be a surefire first-round pick next month. And Chalowski still 13 months away from being drafted himself. Called strike to begin the at-bat against Logan Maxwell. A fastball on the outside at the belt, 0-1. Maxwell struck out against Delvecchio in the first. Cody trying to retire the side in order here in the third. Another fastball, and that's a line drive base hit to right field. A 2-out single for Maxwell. He's now 1 for 2.
And off the end of the bat, 88 miles per hour on the exit speed. But more than that, I mean, that pitch was an off-speed pitch that kind of just stayed in the middle of the plate closer to the knees. So he didn't have to do too much to kind of stay on this ball. And especially when you're relying on velocity and location, especially on your off-speed pitch, you got to be able to locate it better than middle.
That brings up the catcher, Ryder Helfrich. He's an East Bay native out of Discovery Bay, California, and swings through a first pitch fastball. That was right over the plate above the knees. Delvecchio gets the strike, 0-1.
Yeah, challenge fastball, 92 miles per hour. Delvecchio, for someone who hasn't been in a game in several months, that fastball has been spicy.
0-1 is grounded foul up the third base line. And Helfrich behind 0-2 against Delvecchio. As UCLA trails Arkansas 2-0 here in the home half of the third. UCLA has Ian May warming up in the bullpen. Very curious how long the Bruins would let Delvecchio go. Next pitch will be number 49 as he makes his first appearance in 81 days. Throw to first and back safely is Maxwell.
That's got to be a consideration for John Savage with that time since he's been on the mound. But at the same time, this Bruins bullpen has been used quite a bit, certainly in this earlier game against LSU, but just in general throughout the College World Series.
8 different pitchers against the Tigers. And there's a swing and a foul tip held on by Duggar for the strikeout. It's the third K for Delvecchio and able to strand a 2-out single. So Cody has settled down nicely since giving up that home run way back in the first. Now time for the Bruin offense to get going. After 3 in Omaha, it's Arkansas 2, UCLA 0. UCLA down 2-0 against Arkansas. Bruins will hit here in the top of the fourth as Zach Root continues for the Hogs, pitching on short rest, albeit it was an abbreviated start for him the other night against LSU. Under 40 pitches, did not get through the second inning. But you would not know it based on what the Southpaw has shown so far tonight. Some traffic for him there in the first inning. Bases got loaded with one out, but he's now retired 8 in a row and has racked up 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's been good. Only 2 hits as well. Now, aside from that first inning where the Bruins were threatening, he has really settled down, and he's only at around 50 pitches, so he's looking pretty good here in the early going.
And the bullpen for Arkansas is quiet as Root goes back to work facing Levu. And the first pitch is there at the belt on the outside corner. A fastball at 92. 0-1 to Levu, who had a fly out to center field in the first inning. Roman Martin, A.J. Salgado to follow. Left on left here to lead off the visiting fourth. And Levu grounds it on the left side. Iredale, the backhand at third. High throw over to first, though. Levu stumbles down. He's got to get back to the bag, and he is out. Oh, my goodness. Just brutal luck there as Levu went stumbling through the bag, and as that errant throw went over a leaping Robinette, it caromed perfectly for Arkansas off the boundary. And Levu had started to turn towards second, so he had to get back to the bag. And as he tried to turn towards second, he just completely lost his footing and had no chance. Just brutal.
There's nothing you can even do about that. That's just good luck for the Razorbacks there.
So an error, but Levu, who I believe was told to try and take second as the throw got away, realized immediately as he stumbled he had no chance. And there's ball one outside to Roman Martin. So officially it's a throwing error by Iredale, the third baseman, and then Levu just tagged out.
That's just bad luck.
And UCLA should have one man on. Instead, there's one away. Called strike at the knees. 1-1 to Martin, who drew a walk in the first inning, the only walk issued by Root. And the way that boundary works there, I mean, could have kicked either way. Instead, it kicked right back into the field of play. If it goes left, it goes right. Levu's back safely as the pitch is down low. 2-1 to Martin.
But a good job by Maxwell, the right fielder, coming in and backing up that play. I mean, just hustle on Arkansas's part to be in the right place at the right time.
Now the 2-1 pitch. Martin tries to check his swing. He cannot. First base umpire Jeff Head rings him up. Now 2-2. Now you can also say, well, he should have been out to begin with. A throwing error by the third baseman, so maybe it all evens out in the end. But when you have an opportunity to take advantage of a mistake, especially here in Omaha where defensive miscues have been so costly for a variety of teams. Pitch there outside, so it's a full count for Martin.
And especially for the Bruins, just trying to get anything going at the moment. They're down already. They've had trouble driving in runs the last couple of games here in Omaha.
3-2, infield to pull, outfield the other way against Martin. The pitch, and that is a line drive caught at third by Iredale. Roman Martin barreled it up, but Iredale just had to reach to his left to make the snag, and there's 2 gone here in the fourth.
And he just hit it right at him. I mean, you can't hit a ball much better. 101 off the bat. Roman Martin's been hot, just couldn't find grass that time.
Just one of those innings for UCLA.
The good news is that it usually evens out.
We hope so, as the Bruins try to make up a 2-run deficit. Here is Salgado. He takes outside. Breaking ball there from Root. 1 ball, no strikes. UCLA, the last West Coast team left standing here. Arizona Went 0-2. Oregon State eliminated earlier today. Now there's a high strike into Salgado, a fastball at 93. Right at the top of the zone. 1-1 to AJ, who lined out to shortstop back in the first inning. Into his motion, Root's pitch is outside. Fastball at 93, 2-1.
Salgado being a little bit more patient this at-bat. Got that slider to start off and spit on it. A couple of fastballs here.
Infield shaded to pull. Outfield straight away and deep. 2-1 pitch. Salgado grounds it sharply on the right side. Fielded by Kojul to his left. He throws out Salgado. And that'll do it for UCLA in the fourth. One error, nobody left after 3.5. It's Arkansas 2, UCLA nothing. Close ball game so far, but the Bruins do trail Arkansas 2-0 here in an elimination game for bracket 2. Arkansas will hit here in the last of the fourth. 5, 6, and 7 due up. Kojul, Kuhio Aloy, and Reese Robinette. And Cody Delvecchio will continue. He's been able to scatter hits since the Vahiva Aloy home run in the first. 3 strikeouts for Cody. Facing the left-handed hitter Kojul to start. First pitch swinging, yanked foul on the ground, strike 1.
And all things considered, Delvecchio with that pitch actually just pitched 50 of the game. Nearly 3/4 of his pitches have been strikes, and he's been really using that fastball and that cutter early. And to your point, aside from that home run, he's looked quite good.
Goes into his motion for the 0-1 pitch. And that is a liner right at Lavu. He caught it. Kojul lines out to begin the last of the fourth.
That's a good way to start the inning. Maybe mirroring what happened there in that previous inning with Roman Martin lining out to third.
But to go back to your point on Delvecchio, really didn't know what to expect. Started rocky, a single and then a home run, but has really settled down. And he's going to be coming back next year, potentially. Gets a strike here on the outside against Kuhio Aloy. I think the Bruins just needing anything they can get at the plate on the mound, and this has been a welcome start for Delvecchio. Another fastball, and it's a little bit high towards that outside corner. 1-1. Aloy a single back in the second inning.
Yeah, the key is really the hitting. If they can get that going and string together hits, that's been what's been kind of missing the last couple of games.
1-1 pitch, outside, 2-1. Kuhio Aloy spent his freshman year last season at BYU and then transferred in to join his older brother, Vahiva. But Vahiva was already here. Here's the pitch, down low, 3 balls and 1 strike. How does Arkansas not just bring in Kuhio right away out of high school?
It's incredible. You would imagine sibling priority.
Well, they're together now, both first-team All-SEC selections. 3-1 pitch, and Kuhio tags it in the air to left center field. It looks like it is holding up. Brennan calls off West and makes the catch in that cavernous outfield.
And I think right at the start of the inning, the wind pattern changed, where balls are now kind of carrying to right field. So that ball got up into the air. He hit that at a 35-degree launch angle. So it kind of got caught up in the breeze and got beaten down for Brennan to make the catch.
Yeah, the wind now blowing in from left field towards the right field line, and helping UCLA in that regard. Pretty solid contact off the bat, but Delvecchio's retired the first two here in the last of the fourth. And now here's Reese Robinette. Squares to bunt, and it's a called strike at the knees. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Bruins have two lefties, just about ready to go when needed. Chris Grotus and Ian May out in that right field bullpen. Delvecchio looking to go 4 full at least, and gets a called strike two again at the knees. Once again, 93 miles an hour, 0-2 against Robinette, who grounded into a double play in the second. Delvecchio working quickly in a groove. He deals. Check swing on a high fastball. Did he go? No. Kelvin Levy at third said he did hold up. At first glance, looked to be the right call. 1 ball and 2 strikes with Arkansas up 2-0. Base is clear and 2 outs. Infield to pull against a left-handed hitter. The pitch fouled back and out of play.
Challenge fastball up in the zone at 93. Delvecchio's velocity has been excellent. He's been really hovering around that 93, 94 mark and challenging these hitters.
Ahead 1-2. Looking for his first 1-2-3 inning. Breaking ball grounded to the right side. Lavu can't backhand it. Calls behind him. Throws to Delvecchio, covering in time for the out. Well, UCLA has had a top 10 defense all season long, and you see why there. And Delvecchio playing a part, able to retire Arkansas in order in the fourth. We go to the fifth in Omaha. It's Arkansas 2, UCLA 0. Moving along to the fifth inning here at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. What day is this of the College World Series? Starting to lose track. Is this day 5? Day 5.
I believe it's day 5. It's game 10 for sure.
Something about that rain delay last night really just threw off timing of things, as we had 2 2/3 games to get played today, thanks to last night's game being suspended. But here we are here for the top of the fifth. Arkansas on top of UCLA 2-0.
Yeah, I felt like we got an extra game in.
Peyton Brennan swinging on the first pitch. Pops it high in the air. Foul ground third base side. And this will get just out of play into the first row behind the Arkansas dugout on the third base side. Brennan will be followed by Bythewood and Duggar here in the visiting fifth. There's been a threat of rain in the forecast tonight, but for now we are sitting pretty, knock on wood.
Knocked.
Bruins need to figure out Zach Root, the left-handed starter for Arkansas. He's been great and gets another swinging strike. That's a foul ball bouncing on the third base side. Quickly 0-2 to Peyton Brennan, who grounded out right back to Root in the second inning. But after UCLA had 2 hits and loaded the bases in the first inning, had just 1 base runner since. There's a pitch, and that's off the outside. 1-2. And the 1 base runner they had existed for all of 3 seconds when LeFou reached on the air and then turned towards second and had to get back to first and was out.
Yeah, hopefully that luck turns their way. I mean, that was just unfortunate.
1-2 to Brennan. And the pitch is grounded right back off of Root, redirected up the middle and through. Base knock. UCLA has the leadoff man aboard here in the 5th inning.
First time that's happened in a while, but Peyton Brennan stuck with this pitch. I mean, it was just a changeup down. Hit it at nearly 100 miles per hour off the bat, and a good dive over there at short by Aloy. But that's a base runner with good speed now on the base paths for the Bruins with no outs.
And in just a 2-run game, and Toussaint Bythewood at the plate as UCLA try to bunt Brennan into scoring position. Middle infield at double play depth as Brennan measures out his lead at first, and Bythewood settling in from the right side of the plate.
And Iredale just moved a couple of steps in at third.
Bythewood does not show and takes down and in for ball 1. A little bit off balance there. He takes a couple steps across the plate. Ball 1 there from Roots. And just now some activity getting going in that Arkansas bullpen. Root throwing 38 pitches on Saturday night. Coming back here on Tuesday, pitch number 70 is a swing and a miss. Breaking ball down and in to even the count at 1-1. So a heck of an effort from Zach Root. Junior trying to extend Arkansas season. 1 on, nobody out here in the 5th. The wave making its way around home plate. And another swing and a miss out of Bythewood. More off speed from Root. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He got Bythewood down on strikes in the second inning. And so far in these ABs, he's had Bythewood off balance. Brennan the lead at first. Bruins down 2-0, top of the 5th. The pitch. Bythewood goes around on a pitch down low, and he's out. Yeah, 2 strikeouts for Bythewood.
I mean, for sure he went on that, but Root just stuck with that previous pitch, a slider in the dirt. Got him to swing on it before, tried it again, and Bythewood couldn't adjust.
So 1 away now on the 5th strikeout for Root. That brings up Cash Duggar. Did you notice he's changed his walk-up song here in the postseason?
Yeah. Teach me how to Dougie. We said at the same time.
Yeah. 1 on, 1 out, and there's a throw over. Brennan back standing.
Feels very fitting. What would your walk-up song be?
That's a loaded question. I got no clue. Do you?
No idea.
Too many options. Duggar waiting on the first offering. Here it comes, and a swing and a miss out of Duggar. Back to that curveball for strike 1.
I think actually I might go Take On Me by Aha, just for that high-pitched moment.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Get the crowd into it.
The UCLA fans looking for something to get excited about here as Duggar grounds it foul up the first base line. He's down 0-2. 2 runs, 5 hits, an error, and 2 left for Arkansas. No runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 left so far for UCLA. We're here in the top of the 5th inning in this elimination game. And outside of that Vahiva-Aloy 2-run homer, not allowed a loud noise in the ballpark yet tonight. 0-2 to Duggar. Root looks at first and will throw that way. And Brennan dives back safely, getting that right hand on the bag. Root and Ian May, very similar with how they use all of that gray area, and the pickoff throws over to first.
And almost like a little stutter step when he gets to the top of his leg kick.
Still 0-2 at the plate. The pitch is fouled down the left field line and into the third row. Nice catch out of the air with a glove.
We've seen some great crowd work here. A couple of good fielders here in the audience tonight.
No surprise. Great play on the field, and all the best fans in college baseball coming together here in Omaha.
Gamers.
Duggar trying to fight back, down 0-2. Root looks at first, comes home. And Duggar lays off the curveball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wind blowing out to right field now. Not so much in, but towards that right field corner. It's been shifting throughout this ball game. Brennan on first after a leadoff single. Now 1 away and a 1-2 count for Duggar. Root comes home, and Duggar grounds it sharply off of the glove of Robinette, picked up by Kazul, and he will throw out Duggar at first. He hit it so hard that Kazul had enough time to track it down and then fire it over to first. Does advance Brennan into scoring position. Some hard hit contact there from Cash. So a chance for Phoenix Call to drive in a run with Brennan now on second and 2 outs.
I mean, just good defense, and you talk about it being luck or whatever, but just the idea that this Arkansas defense has really been putting their money where their mouth is. The hustle on the field is evident, certainly on that Lavu almost single that turned into a throwing error. And just otherwise, they've been playing a pretty complete game so far.
So a 3-4-3 put out there as Call has to throw his backside out of the way of that one, coming down and in for ball 1. He struck out looking against Root in the third. One of 5 strikeout victims from the left-hander, who is now getting close to 80 pitches here tonight. It looks like he's still got gas in the tank. Runner on second, 2 outs. Again down and in. 2 balls and no strikes to Phoenix Call. 2-0 Arkansas here in the 5th. Infield straight up against Call. So too is the outfield. And the lights beginning to take effect here as we approach 8 o'clock. Still another hour until we get sunset, though.
Some nice late sunsets.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. Went after the slider there on 2-0, and big Call was out in front. 2 balls and a strike, perhaps expecting fastball.
Yeah, and with that pitch, that was pitch number 80 for Mr. Root on the mound. 4 2/3 innings pitched so far. So that pitch count pretty high up.
Shakes off the pitch call twice before coming home. Check swing, down and away. Did he go? No. 3 balls and a strike to Call. Dean West on deck if Call can reach. And with the depth of the outfield, base hit that gets out of the infield should score Peyton Brennan. Bruins trying to get themselves on the board. 3-1. Root's pitch. Down and in, ball 4. Only his second walk of the game. And so 2 men on now for Dean West. Let's see if that is it for Zach Root. It looks like going to have a meeting here on the mound.
And this looks like the pitching coach, perhaps, with a little jog out there. That's Matt Hobbs, who we have seen come out to the mound one time for a mound visit. Now this time, the whole infield is congregated on top of the mound. It looks like they're taking a look at some type of paperwork there. Some TPS reports, perhaps. Maybe not.
Aiden Jimenez is ready to go in the bullpen, so this is not a stall tactic by any means, but they do appear to be giving Root the opportunity to go 5 full here. Well, Root was very frustrated with himself for the effort on Saturday and being unable to get out of the second inning. Well, more or less getting a mulligan here tonight. And if he can get out of this 5th inning unscathed, will have set up Arkansas well.
And for someone who has historically not pitched great when he doesn't get a full week off like his typical schedule, he's pitched great tonight. I mean, no runs on the board for UCLA.
Facing Dean West for a 3rd time, and the first pitch is on the outside for a called strike. Dean West doesn't like that one. That looked outside, but Root gets the call. 0-1. Starts him off with a breaking ball. West with a single and a strikeout against Root so far tonight. The pitch. Another curveball. And again, a called strike two. And that one very similar to the previous pitch. I think that's 2 pitches off the plate. And West is really frustrated here with plate umpire Gregory Street, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, they switched to the ump cam, and we saw in first person what Gregory Street was looking at on that pitch, and I mean, that definitely was off the plate.
0-2, and West lays off the breaking ball in the dirt. Runners advance, and now it's 2 in scoring position. So 1-2, and at least a little bit of the pressure now returns to Root as Brennan advances to third. Call behind him up to second.
And if there's one thing Dean West can do very well, it is work the count. His pitch was well into the dirt, but heads up base running by both runners now to get into scoring position. That's Brennan on third, Call on second.
1-2 pitch, and that is outside. Stop it with the crowd. That was way off compared to the called strikes earlier. Give me a break.
I mean, that is at least half a plate off, according to our TrackMan data.
The crowd is fooled by Helfrich, much like plate umpire Gregory Street has been. 2-2 pitch. West grounds it right at second. Kojal's got it and throws him out. UCLA kept off the scoreboard here in the 5th. 1 hit, 2 left. Zach Root has gone 5 scoreless to start this ball game. Midway through regulation, it's Arkansas 2, UCLA nothing. It's a pitcher's duel here so far tonight in Omaha. This elimination game between the Bruins and the Razorbacks. And it's Arkansas in front 2-0 as we head to the last of the 5th inning. It'll be 8-9-1 for the Hogs. Iredale, Thomas Jr., and Davila. Cody Delvecchio back out for the 5th inning. Allowed a 2-run homer in the first, but nothing since. Delvecchio into his motion. First pitch to Iredale, check swing, foul. On strike 1 as UCLA has overshifted to the left side. 5 hits for Arkansas, 3 for UCLA. A 1 pitch, down and away, a ball and a strike. Look, I don't want to belabor the umpiring for too long because you do have to adjust, and it is part of the game. But it's not just tonight. It's honestly been all week. There's been some questionable balls and strikes calls as there's a base hit to right field. A leadoff single for Iredale, who's now 2 for 2. That's been tough. And you don't expect to see that here on the biggest stage where you should have some of the best calls being made. But we have tracking and the data. Just that Dean West at-bat was the latest example. Be that as it may, the Bruins have to find a way to adjust now with only 4 offensive innings. Meanwhile, have to continue to keep this Arkansas offense at bay.
Yeah, but it's certainly frustrating for that dugout. Certainly seeing some of these bad calls that have been coming from these umpires at the same time. To your point, just got to bear down, keep Arkansas off the board, and get into that dugout.
Thomas Jr. grounds one foul just wide of third. Jumps on the first pitch from Delvecchio. He's up to 65 pitches now, and he's done well to eat up these innings. And if UCLA can win this game tonight, you're still talking about needing to win 2 more games over the next 2 days. So Cody has done well to work into the 5th here. And UCLA has Ian May standing by. He is staying loose. Has not pitched much so far here in Omaha. Just a couple of innings. Overshift to the left against Thomas Jr. Takes high and outside. Throw down to first, and back safely is Iredale.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, though, about, umpiring and certainly what the Bruins can do about it, they really need to get some hits strung together. Now they have left 3 runners in scoring position at this point offensively, and that's going to cost them later in the game.
Delvecchio turns and throws to first, and diving back is Iredale. He's got 8 stolen bags this year. Arkansas not a team that has stolen many throughout the course of the season. Right side of the infield, wide open here with LeVou holding on the runner and Call onto the other side of second. 1-1 pitch, down and away. Duggar able to block it. And he'll get a fresh baseball for Delvecchio.
Duggar's been an excellent backstop this entire season, but just like that pitch alone, slider in the dirt. Sometimes you get funky spin with that pitch moving laterally, but just a good job of getting that chest protector in front.
Out of the stretch, the 2-1 pitch. Fastball is lined into left field, a base hit. Back-to-back singles here in the 5th for Arkansas. And that might be it for Cody Delvecchio, as the leadoff man, Davillon, will come to the plate.
And this would be the 3rd time through the order, to your point.
And John Savage getting up off of his seat there in the dugout, and it looks like he will make the call. Valiant effort here for Cody Delvecchio, pitching for the first time in 81 days. But with Davillon set to come to the plate, you've got 2 out of the next 3 being left-handers. Looks like Ian may come here, though no call yet as John Savage slowly walks out. Perhaps he will give Delvecchio the opportunity to continue.
And at the moment, no call to the pen just yet.
He's talking with them. And now the call is made.
A little dramatic there, but right as home plate umpire Gregory Street made his way to the mound, or at least to the cut of the dirt, John Savage made that look over to the right field bullpen, and Ian May is who is going to be coming in. But to your point, as a pitcher who has not pitched since March 28th, for Delvecchio to have eaten a significant amount of innings here, especially when his team has been taxed from a bullpen perspective, is quite remarkable. And all things considered, only 2 runs against a very good Arkansas offense as he walks off the mound, and get some applause here from the UCLA fans in attendance. So that's going to be it for him. Now Ian May is going to have to come into a bit of a more challenging situation. This team, the Razorbacks, have been hitting the ball well. Even that last single was hit at 112 off of Cody Delvecchio. They have not been getting cheap hits. And Ian May comes into a situation where there will be runners on first and second with no outs in this inning. And he's got to find his way out of it with hopefully not giving up a run.
May has pitched in each game here in the College World Series. Going back to that Murray State game, he actually got the win with a scoreless frame in that one. And in fact, pitched earlier today in relief. Only threw 16 pitches. Now we know May is a guy who can go long. He's got experience as a starter, so he's got gas in the tank. And now needing to find outs. And it's been tough for UCLA's offense, but you keep yourself within 2 like they have throughout this game, you feel like you've got a chance. Now this feels almost teetering a little bit. Arkansas is maybe 1 swing from really putting this game in a tough spot for the Bruins.
Yeah, and it's a situation where UCLA hopes to not repeat what happened in the earlier game against LSU, where LSU had that 4 spot in the first, but they were able to tag runs in the middle innings, 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and eventually had 9 runs to conclude that game earlier today. And Ian May just has to keep them as best as he can at 2 runs. They already have 7 hits in the game, so the fact that they only have 2 runs scored is kind of remarkable.
2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error, 2 left for Arkansas. No runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 4 left for UCLA. This will actually be Arkansas's first at-bat with a runner in scoring position. Aloy with that long ball. So Iredale, the lead runner on second. Thomas Jr. on first. Solid speed on the bases. And now you've got the leadoff man, Charles Davalon, who is 1 for 2. So it'll be a different look for Arkansas, and will sometimes work to the pitcher's advantage after all that hard throwing from Del Vecchio. You will get the craftiness now here from Ian May. From the third base side of the rubber, out of the stretch, May comes home. And the first pitch is outside, ball 1. 88 miles an hour there from May.
That's what you're going to get from him, 88 to 90. He's got a curveball, and he's got a slider. And he'll kind of reference those 3 pitches the majority of the time.
2-0 Arkansas. And the pitch in there for a strike. Catches the edge, 1-1, another 88-mile-an-hour fastball. Davalon, a guy who has drawn more walks than strikeouts over the course of this season. 35 versus 26. And he takes down and out here. 2 balls and a strike on that sweeping breaking ball from May.
Yeah, sweeping indeed. 18 inches of break on that pitch. And I mean, Ian May, especially with that 3/4 release, that's what you're going to see. A lot of lateral movement in both directions.
The pitch is grounded foul on the first base side. 2-2 now.
Now that lefty-on-lefty matchup certainly working so far in this at-bat. That's exactly why head coach John Savage has brought Ian May into this game, but he also has the ability to give them innings, but he also has pitched, as you mentioned, throughout the College World Series, so may not have the highest pitch count here tonight.
2 balls and 2 strikes. May checks the lead runner, comes home. And that is grounded to second. Call's got on the backhand. Flips to Chalowski for 1. On to first, a double play. Bruins get what they desperately needed. Iredale, the lead runner, does get over to third, but there's now 2 outs as UCLA turns 2 for the second time tonight. And they will have to get through Aloy if they want to get out of this inning unscathed.
But a very clean double play. 4-6-3. Call to Chalowski to Lavu. Runner on third, and now, as you mentioned, Aloy coming up, but May just 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. That's 66 double plays for the UCLA defense this year.
They average 1 per game. Aloy 1 for 2 with that 2-run homer. And takes outside. Ball 1. You've got a left-handed bat on deck in Maxwell. Maxwell's certainly a good hitter. I wonder, do you kind of pitch around Aloy here a little bit? Be careful. Infield back in the middle. And that pitch is down and in from May. 2 balls and no strikes. Runner on third, 2 outs here in the last of the 5th. Bruins down 2-0.
And there's a lot of thought that goes into these matchups. John Savage, he looks at each of these hitters for about 90 minutes before each of these matchups. A lot of scouting.
2-0. Aloy takes over the inside just below the belt. Called strike, 2-1. Hiva Aloy grew up in Hawaii. Spent his freshman year at Sacramento State. And now in his 2nd year at Arkansas. And he takes a called strike. That sweeping breaking ball, he's not picking it up real well. That one finished right over the plate. 2-2.
Yeah, and I mean, with the way the shadows are, nothing on the field at the moment, but the batter's eye is illuminated. So with that being said, it might be a little bit challenging to pick up that horizontal movement, 20 inches on that last pitch.
They've got golden sun shining on the batter's eye. Here's the 2-2, and it's fouled right at the plate. Aloy that time pulls the trigger on the breaking ball. Still 2-2.
Feels like every time that he swings, though, it is a mighty cut. I mean, I wish we got his bat speed statistics up here because, I mean, it just feels like he's got an extremely powerful swing. Clearly the stats show it, but just the eye test.
He stands upright and then just uncorks all that tension as he goes into a swing. 2-2 pitch to him, and he hits it high in the air to right center field. Brennan on the move, back into the gap. Brennan dives, it's off the wall. So Gatto will have to pick it up. Aloy is already headed for third, and he will get the stop sign there to the deepest part of the yard. Vahiva Aloy off the top of the wall for an RBI triple, and Arkansas has grabbed a 3-0 lead.
I mean, could have been home run number 2. I mean, that ball was absolutely smoked. Want to hear the distance on this one? 408 feet. And did not get out of this ballpark. 108 miles per hour off the bat. Nearly perfect launch angle as well. And it hit kind of exactly where the time clock is, especially where the two walls converge there in right center. Peyton Brennan sliding as he reached that wall. John Savage expressing some frustration after that pitch. It appears that maybe he wanted that a little bit down or off the plate.
And now bunt is shown by Maxwell, but he takes outside for ball 1. I did not get a look at the replay of where exactly that pitch was, but it was certainly over the plate on 2-2. And look, Aloy has gotten 2 opportunities, and he's got a 2-run homer and a run-scoring triple. He's driven in all of the runs. And now a swing and a foul ball right at home plate for Maxwell, 1-1.
And that's kind of the distinction between Arkansas and UCLA in this game. UCLA, 3 hits, obviously not the most amount of hits, but Arkansas finding ways to get extra base hits. UCLA has none of those at the moment.
Now, Aloy has been that guy. He is a difference maker. So now it's the left-handed hitting Maxwell. And that's down and away. 2 balls and a strike. Deepest part of the yard where the right field line extends and meets the center field line in that break in the wall. And Brennan just didn't have a great read on it and just hit so well as the pitch is inside. And boy, did he fool Maxwell. Maxwell went ducking out of the way, but that pitch didn't finish that far off the plate.
No.
3-1 though.
Now the question too is, take a quick look at the bullpen. That's Cal Randall getting loose.
That's up and in, ball 4. So May got that double play, but a triple and a walk. Arkansas not done here in the 5th. And that might be it for May. And John Savage immediately makes a call to the bullpen as he steps up out of the dugout. And so Randall will come in with a right-handed hitter, Ryder Helfrich, due to be the batter. UCLA still within striking distance, but 3 runs maybe feels like a little bit more given the way that the offense has been stymied today. At some point, we'll see that Arkansas bullpen. Maybe that will help. See, the margins are just so thin here in these games. You're playing the best teams in the country. LSU, the 6th seed. Arkansas, the 3 seed. Both teams have been 2 of the best in the nation all year, and UCLA has hung in there, but you've got limited opportunities, and if you don't take advantage, they go away in an instant.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and all of those things combine, and of course, just Vahiva Aloy also just continuing to have, I mean, he's everything that we expected him to be in this game. And for UCLA, their strength, of course, coming into the College World Series was their offense. This is not the typical pitching and defense team. Granted, UCLA does have a very good bullpen and defense. However, the hitting has been kind of challenging to come by. It's not that it hasn't existed by virtue of getting runs. For example, in the game earlier today against LSU, UCLA scored 5 runs. but they haven't been able to string together hits, and they haven't been able to piece things together. And certainly the long ball, by nature of the ballpark, is non-existent, and also extra base hits have been relatively non-existent. So coming with all of that stuff together, it puts so much pressure on the pitching staff to get things done. And 3 runs is really not that much all in the grand scheme of things. However, to your point, margins are so razor thin, and every run is so important, especially here in a big crowd at Charles Schwab Field. And that just makes it all the more difficult.
And for UCLA, in terms of what they've had offensively, yet bases loaded, 1 out in the first, unable to get a run. An ambitious attempt from Dean West trying to steal home. And then a line out ended things there in the first, and so they come up empty. And from there, look, Root was pitching well, but then you get that gift of an error, and it's tough luck, but it's luck that doesn't go your way. When that errant throw, Karam's right back in a perfect position, and Lavu, who had turned to second and lost his footing, now has to scamper back to first and is tagged out. That could have been an opportunity. And then last time UCLA was at the plate in the 5th, getting 2 in scoring position, but again, not finding that clutch hit. Still have some time on offense, but now they need to get the final out here in the bottom half of the 5th and keep it a 3-0 game. Arkansas has got it on the corners for Ryder Helfrich, a guy who's got plenty of pop in the back. That's the thing with this Arkansas lineup. Aloy is the standout. We've got so many solid players outside of it as well. 7 of the 9 in the lineup tonight have double-digit home runs.
Yeah, I mean, a very balanced team. And now they're going to face Cal Randall on the mound, who came in and pitched, well, earlier today, in fact. He threw 1 2/3 innings, 32 pitches. So to come back in the same day, John Savage putting a lot of faith in his pitcher. Fastball gets up there into the upper 90s, has a cutter as well, and you'll mainly see those 2 pitches.
Against Helfrich, first pitch down and away. Does not start with a fastball, goes with a slider. Ball 1. Helfrich, the catcher, 0 for 2, a ground out and a strikeout. That was all against Del Vecchio. Randall, the 3rd pitcher of the game, and the 3rd pitcher in this inning. High leg kick and misses down low. And if that was a fastball, it was only at 91 miles an hour. A little bit down for Randall.
Might have actually been a cutter, in fact. There was a bit of a lateral movement on that one, but to your point, is a question to see if he's fatigued or not.
Here's his 2-0, and there's a ground ball foul up the 3rd base line. And there you go, you were correct. That went in at 96, so he still got it despite the workload here today. 2 balls and a strike. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Last of the 5th. Bruins chasing 3 runs here in this elimination game. Infield shaded to pull against a right-handed hitter. Lavu holding on the runner at first. Right side wide open. That one bounced in. Duggar drops the mask and finds it to his right. Cutter down low there, and Helfrich not biting. 3-1.
Randall trying to stick to the outside part of the plate. Good stop by Duggar. But he just needs 1 more out to get out of this inning, so doesn't need to worry about that runner on 3rd.
Outfield deep for the Bruins. The pitch. Fastball skied in the air. Shallow right field. Call back from second, settling underneath. He makes the catch, and that'll end the inning. So Randall does indeed get that final out and limit the damage. Arkansas plates 1 run on 3 hits with 2 left on base. After 5 innings here in Omaha, it's Arkansas 3, UCLA 0. to the 6th inning here at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. And UCLA trailing 3-0 against the number 3 overall seed, Arkansas. New pitcher for the Razorbacks here. The night is done for Zach Root. He goes 5 scoreless. Impressive stuff on 2 days rest. And out is Aiden Jimenez, redshirt sophomore righty at 6'3", 215. Grew up in Elk Grove just outside Sacramento and transferred in this year from Oregon State. Pitched a fair amount for the Beavers as a freshman, but missed all of 2024 due to injury. So far this season, as he makes his 21st appearance, he's 4-1 with a 3.66 ERA. 38 strikeouts in 39 innings against just 12 walks, and teams hitting .264 against him.
Yeah, and he's come in both as a starter and also has a save on the season. So he's been used in multiple capacities here for the Razorbacks.
Facing the heart of the UCLA order, Chalowski, followed by LaVue and Martin, and the first pitch down low for ball 1.
That first one coming in at 89 miles per hour, just outside.
Bring up the save number. Out of the 15 saves for Arkansas, they've come from 8 different pitchers. Chalowski out in front, grounding it foul. 1-1 to Rock, who's got a single, his first here in Omaha, and a ground out to first. 1 for 2. UCLA held to just 3 hits. Had a couple of walks as well. And here's a jam shot bouncer up the middle. To his left, Aloy. From short, he throws out Chalowski just in time. And there's one away here in the 6th.
Got jammed on that fastball on the inside part of the plate. Looked up and in. 94 from Jimenez on the mound. And a good play at short by Aloy.
So that sets up LaVue, who technically reached on an error in the 4th, but was almost immediately tagged out when he turned to second and then had to get back to first and could not do so. Lost his footing there in the dirt. 3-0 Arkansas. No pitch. Upstairs. Ball 1. Third all-time meeting between UCLA and Arkansas. The other 2 came back in 1999 as LaVue fouls it straight back into the screen as Jimenez brought it in on the hands. 1-1. These teams played a couple of midweek games in Fayetteville in the middle of the year. UCLA had just played Cal and then went out to Fayetteville, played a couple of games, came on home, and won them both though. No pitch. Breaking ball, popped him up. Left side of the infield, shallow coming in. Iredale, the third baseman, makes the catch just onto the mound. And there's 2 away.
And the Bruins continuing to have a lot of weak contact, and that has been killing them. I know we've already referenced, Nick, how the Bruins only have 3 hits in the game so far, but also 3 runners left in scoring position, so it's not without chances to have this game be tied. Unfortunately, they just have not had the ability to drive those runs in, and it's been a bit of a theme here over the last, well, I guess over the last 2 games that have happened yesterday and today.
And UCLA, yes, they've had those 3 opportunities, but usually they're getting 8 to 10 of those run-scoring opportunities. They've been few and far between. Roman Martin takes over the inside for a called strike. Breaking ball there from Jimenez. Roman Martin 0 for 1 with a walk. Had a hard hit ball last time up, but he hit it right at Iredale, who caught it out of the air at third. A pitch, driving fastball off the outside. 95 miles an hour there from Jimenez. 1-1.
Yeah, that's some big boy velocity.
And it just seems every pitcher that UCLA has faced in these last 2 games can throw mid-90s. The pitch, grounded foul, bouncing to the backstop. Another fastball coming in on the hands, and Jimenez ahead 1-2, trying to make quick work of the Bruins here in the 6th.
That's kind of SEC baseball in a nutshell, though. You're going to see so many pitchers who throw mid-90s or upper 90s even at the college level. Definitely the most amount of hard throwers that UCLA has seen all season.
Base is clear, 2 outs, 1 and 2 to Martin. We're in the top of the 6th. Jimenez's pitch is a called third strike on the outside. Got him looking with the breaking ball. Martin is livid with plate umpire Gregory Street, who has been giving those calls on the outside all night. And it's a strikeout recorded by Jimenez. The Bruins go down in order in the 6th. After 5.5, it's Arkansas 3, UCLA nothing. UCLA trailing Arkansas 3-0, and the Razorbacks will hit here in the bottom of the 6th. Kojal, Aloy, Kuhio Aloy, that is, and then Robinette due up 5, 6, and 7 against Cal Randall, who's out of the windup for the first time, and that's in there at the knees for a strike, 0-1. Arkansas with 2 runs in the first, another in the 5th, all off the bat of Vahiva Aloy. 0-1, swing and a miss. Fastball right by him at 97, and Kojal could not catch up.
And that was a fastball at 97 right down the chute. Just like hit it. Answer's no.
Kojal 0 for 2, and Randall ready to work. Kicks and throws, and that one bounced in. Too much mustard on that cutter, 1 and 2.
Any Dijon on it?
Always.
Always. Spicy mustard is a must.
Infield shaded to pull against a left-handed hitter. 1-2 pitch. Down and away. Another pitch at 92 there from Randall. Kojal grew up in Omaha. His father, Matt, works on the grounds crew here at Charles Schwab Field. He's also part of the crew out at Werner Park in the suburbs, home of the Omaha Storm Chasers, the AAA affiliate of the Royals. As the pitch misses outside there, a full count now to Kojal. Matt even worked on the grounds crew when the College World Series was over at Rosenblatt. Payoff pitch. Called third strike. Got him looking on the outside. 96 miles an hour on the black from Cal Randall.
And I mean, that was perfectly placed, and a good frame by Cash Duggar behind the plate. And this was right on the corner. Duggar was set up on the inside part of the plate. Kojal thought that was ball 4. And Randall, full effort on that fastball, coming in at 96 miles per hour. Some intensity on the mound, and it's paying off, at least in that at-bat.
Now here is the younger Aloy taking a called strike. Fastball down low at the knees, 0-1. Randall doesn't look too tired. I mean, he's getting that fastball, or they're getting the ball back and immediately bringing the glove to his face. Puts the cutter down and away there, 1-1. Kuhio Aloy in this game has a single and a fly out to center field. The pitch at the knees for a called strike. 1-2. 97 there from Randall. All fastballs and cutters so far here in the sixth as the Bruins trail 3-0. The pitch. Check swing, foul, back up by us, and Karam's off the glass just a few booths down from us and down into the lower deck. I believe that is where the video production team is. That's right between us and the TV booth.
I mean, that boinked off a window, gave you a flashback to earlier this season where,
yeah,
well, I mean, as I said very poetically, almost died.
A pitch off the outside, 2-2. Yes, the Friday night game against Washington in April broke the glass in our booth in Jackie Robinson Stadium.
We got to bring our gloves and full contact gear.
2-2, struck him out swinging. Pure heat from Cal Randall. 97 again, back-to-back Ks for the right-hander.
And just another challenge fastball. To your point, this was, again, not necessarily well located, but the velocity will grant you that exception. I mean, this was basically right down the middle, slightly on the outside part of the plate. Randall bringing the heat, and it's paying off once again.
Now here's Robinette, and that is down and in. 97 there. They do appeal to Kellen Levy at 30, and he rung him up. It's strike one. Randall kicks and deals. Another fastball. This time, it's well down low out of the zone. 98 that time.
That's a season high.
No, 1 ball and 1 strike. Just like seeing how fast Randall can go here. 1-1 pitch. Yeah, that is spiked in. I think he tried to hit 99 there.
And, I mean, all this to consider, he threw over an inning earlier today. So the fact that he's even up to that type of velocity is pretty incredible.
Just a sophomore as well. And that's up and outside. 3 balls and a strike now, trying to avoid a 2-out walk. Infield shaded to pull against the left-handed hitter. Outfield deep straight away. And Randall's pitch is hit in the air to left field. West ranging back, settling in front of the track, reaches up and makes the catch. And that will end the inning. Arkansas is retired in order for just the second time today. UCLA has 9 more outs to work with if they want to extend their season. After 6 in Omaha, it's the Razorbacks 3, the Bruins 0. On to the latter innings here at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. Day 5 of the College World Series, game number 10. An elimination game between UCLA and Arkansas. And the Bruins being shut out to this point. 3-0 Hogs over UCLA, the 3 seed and the 15 seed in the NCAA tournament. UCLA has Salgado, Brennan, and Bythewood due up here in the top of the 7th. And they will continue to face the right-hander for Arkansas, Aiden Jimenez, who retired the side in order in the 6th. Salgado is 0 for 2. Line out and a ground out. Bruins have been held to just 3 hits tonight. They've drawn a couple of walks. There's also an Arkansas error. So 6 base runners. That's it. Out of the windup, Jimenez's first pitch fastball is off the outside. Ball 1. Salgado potentially his final college game here tonight if UCLA cannot overcome the deficit. Has had such a stellar season. Second team all conference. As he smacks it in the air down the left field line, foul. Salgado, the first Bruin with double-digit home runs and stolen bases in a season in 13 years. That's all kind of built to this, starting at the D2 level. His 3rd year here with UCLA and had to deal with some injuries over the first couple. Been fully healthy this year and has finally been able to realize his full potential as he fouls the pitch back into the screen and now down 1-2. And Salgado, another SoCal native, grew up in Glendora. Out of Glendora High School. Can he get aboard to lead off this 7th? 1-2 pitch. And fouled it off. Bounced it to the right side. He'll hang in there to see another. Jimenez getting a strikeout among the 3 outs against UCLA, going at the heart of the order in the 6th. Another 1-2 and another foul.
Really making him work here.
Oh, this is more like UCLA baseball here, fouling off a ton of pitches. Obviously, you're going to get some really good pitchers here today. It's nice to see a trademark UCLA at bat here.
Yeah, long at bat, pitch number 6 coming up.
Here it comes, and that's inside, right in front of his knees. 2-2, 96 there from Jimenez. That's not easy to watch go by.
No, it's had some extra pesto on it. Salgado really extending this at bat, getting that pitch count for Jimenez a little bit higher.
2-2 pitch from the righty. Struck him out swinging, got him chasing on a breaking ball in the dirt, and then running down the line, Helfrich, the catcher, able to tag out Salgado. A lengthy battle goes to Jimenez, out number 1 in the 7th.
One of the better at-bats, though, that the Bruins have had in several innings. In fact, that foul ball he hit down the left field line, arguably the hardest ball they've hit today. Unfortunate it wasn't fair, but those are the types of at-bats they need here in the late going.
Here's Peyton Brennan. 1 for 2. And first pitch is fouled up the first base line. Right on top of it. And it looks like UCLA will have a pinch hitter coming up for Bythewood. Get a left-handed bat off the bench.
Looks like it's Aiden Espinoza.
Yes. 1 away, base is clear here in the 7th. 0-1 pitch from Jimenez. Over the inside for a called strike at 95 miles an hour. 0-2 to Peyton Brennan. And now with the 2 strikes, they will have Iredale, the third baseman, go over to normal second base positioning. Kojal will shift into shallow right field for the overshift, and Brennan bounces right into it. Kojal is there in shallow right field and throws him out just in time.
And that's how defensive positioning works in your favor. I mean, it likely would have been a straight 4-3 ground out anyway if Kojal was playing standard, but at the same time, Arkansas playing a complete game. I mean, obviously we've referenced how they've been able to get it going offensively, and they did have that 1 error earlier in the game, but it's been pretty clean overall, and this is a very complete team going into the remainder of the College World Series should they advance.
And then wiped away that error immediately. Didn't cost him at all. So now here's Jimenez getting a chance to hit. He is 6 for 19 at the plate throughout the course of the season. And the first pitch to him is there on the outside corner. 0-1. Espinoza, a redshirt freshman, did not get to play last year, was hurt, and now has gotten some looks throughout the course of the season. The pitch, and that's down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. 3 runs, 8 hits, an error, 4 left for Arkansas. And no runs, 3 hits, no errors, 4 left for UCLA.
Jimenez wants a new ball on the mound.
Espinoza out of Huntington Beach. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Got him to chase on a breaking ball down and in. 1-2. Infield slightly to pull against a left-handed hitter. The pitch is a soft grounder up the middle to the left of second. Aloy from short has it, and the throw to first in time to retire the side. Back-to-back innings where UCLA has been retired in order. We've reached the stretch here in Omaha. It's Arkansas 3, UCLA nothing. Welcome back to the College World Series in Omaha. UCLA trailing Arkansas 3-0. Razorbacks will hit here in the last of the 7th. And Cal Randall will continue. He's thrown 22 pitches in this game. And earlier this morning against LSU, he threw 32 pitches. So Shoney's got some gas in the tank. He's touched 98 miles per hour and just retired the side in order in the 6th on a couple of strikeouts. So nice to see UCLA, at least so far, has fared pretty well on the mound, holding what's been a very good Arkansas offense this season to just 3 runs so far. But UCLA's offense has just had a tough time getting going today. Just 3 hits through 7 innings.
Yeah, to your point rather about Randall, I mean, he's working hard. I mean, it looks like his entire jersey might be drenched in sweat. And I mean, obviously temperatures at the moment are at 75 degrees. And I mean, it definitely is humid. I mean, humidity at the moment is 77%. Yeah, but I mean, more than that, I think just he has been a workhorse today, obviously coming in that LSU game, and the significant amount of pitches he's thrown tonight.
Dealing with Iredale first for Arkansas, and he misses off the outside with the fastball. Thomas Jr. and then Davila due up for the Razorbacks, 8-9-1 in the order. No pitch, and that's up and in with a fastball, quickly 2-0. All the runs for Arkansas tonight have come off the bat of Vahiva Aloy. 2-run homer and an RBI triple. Randall's pitch, fastball, down low. Duggar couldn't bring it up for plate umpire Gregory Street. Quickly 3-0. UCLA does have activity out in that right field bullpen. Chris Grotus has been getting loose. Jack O'Connor as well, as Randall gets the call in the outside corner there, 3-1.
Randall up to 26 pitches at the moment. Exactly 13 strikes. That's exactly half.
Bruin shifting to the left side of the diamond, and that's a called strike at the knees. A gift there for Randall and the Bruins. Iredale thought that was ball 4, and don't blame him.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been just low.
Full count now. Randall battling back and spiked that one off the outside. It is indeed a leadoff walk.
And for all Randall's performance tonight, I believe that is just his first walk. Is that correct?
First base runner he's allowed, yes.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, all things considered, I think the question now as Cash Duggar stands in front of home plate is if there's going to be a mound visit. It does appear that John Savage is going to walk out of the dugout here, and he's going to do a little bit of a jog as the whole infield congregates here. Lavu, Call, Chalowski, and Martin, along with Cash Duggar, all moving towards the pitcher's mound, and it appears that Randall giving some high fives to Chalowski and a couple of his teammates there. Looks like we're seeing a pitching change.
Chris Grotus has been called upon, and so the left-hander will come out after the leadoff walk. So great effort from Cal Randall. Second time he has pitched in this day, about 8 hours apart. Grotus pitched last night, so he's a little fresher than some of his teammates, but not by much. So Randall passes the ball, and excited to see his future here with UCLA. Didn't get to play much last year, but this year really blossomed into one of their key bullpen arms. And especially here in the postseason, it seemed like John Savage learned to trust him more and more.
And that's kind of how you want to play it, especially if you're Randall. Continued growth over the season, and I think he grew into that role as a trusted arm in the bullpen. I mean, he obviously has the stuff, and he certainly had it today with that fastball getting up to 98 miles per hour, taking on some of the best hitters in the country from the SEC. At the same time, exits the game here with a runner left on as a result of that walk, but his only base runner of the game, as you mentioned. Now Chris Grotus coming in, the lefty, and he's been another trusted arm for John Savage this season as Randall actually entered the dugout. He's given a lot of hugs from his teammates. Ian May gave him a big embrace along with Blake Baltz. Job well done by Randall. For Randall, now Grotus, it's up to him to keep that runner on first exactly where he is, or rather prevent another run from scoring.
I think Randall's teammates recognizing all the work that he has put in as well. And so here is Grotus, his second appearance here in the College World Series. Pitched last night, a scoreless frame, and then after he was done, that's when the game was called. Struck out the side there in that third inning against LSU on 17 pitches. And he is due to face the 9-hole hitter Justin Thomas, and then a lefty in Charles Davila. But John Savage is comfortable throwing him to guys on either side of the plate. He is not that matchup lefty. So leadoff man aboard for Arkansas here in the 7th. Razorbacks up 3-0. Got started a little bit late, having to play LSU to start the day. Pushed game number 2 between Louisville and Oregon State back a little bit, and then pushed our start time back just 30 minutes though. And now here in the last of the 7th, Arkansas working to extend its 3-zip lead. Lights beginning to take full effect here as the sun has set behind us. Get those late summer sunsets here in Nebraska. One on, nobody out, bunt shown, and the pitch is low. Duggar tosses the mask, finds it between his feet. 1 ball and no strikes to Thomas Jr. Arkansas looking to play a little small ball, put Iredale into scoring position for the top of the lineup.
Grotus on the mound. Stuff-wise, that fastball is going to get to right or about 90 is his ceiling. Also has a slider and a change.
Outfield very deep for the Bruins, trying to prevent extra bases. Infield at double play depth. Here's the bunt put down right back at Grotus. Looks to second, doesn't throw, goes to first. Call is there covering the bag. Nearly didn't have his foot there, but he did, in fact, get it on the inside part of the base to retire Thomas Jr., who does his job. He does advance Iredale up to second.
Job well done. Fundamental baseball. Arkansas still trying to push the buttons of UCLA. And there's only 1 out in the inning. Certainly a hit would drive in this runner at second base, but at the same time, Grotus, he's got a base to play with here if he wants to work around this hitter, but he does have a lefty-lefty matchup here.
Davila with that open crouch stance, waving the bat above his head. First pitch. Called strike. Got it above the knees on the outside corner, painting the black at 92. 0-1. Davila today 1 for 3. He's grounded into a double play last time up in the 5th. Run scoring opportunity for him here. And the pitch is grounded to the right side. Charged by Phoenix, call at second. Fields on the backhand and throws him out at first. For out number 2, Iredale advances to third.
Another good at-bat by Arkansas. I mean, look, he didn't drive in the run, but was able to move Iredale over to third base and brings up the... I mean, we're right at the heart of the lineup, honestly. So with Aloy coming up at the moment, who has had several great swings, including that home run, but it appears that the Bruins are just going to intentionally walk him.
I don't blame them. That's the ultimate sign of respect. A mix of boos and claps from the Arkansas fans. They want to see Aloy hit, but Grotus will now face Maxwell.
And I mean, in any other ballpark and in any other night, he could have 2 home runs tonight. That ball he hit to right center field, a triple, went over 400 feet, and it didn't get out of this ballpark.
When UCLA was here for the Big Ten tournament, it was Rock Chalowski who was getting that treatment. He was getting intentionally walked. And here tonight, UCLA trying to keep this deficit right where it is, not taking their chances with Aloy. So it's on the corners with 2 outs for the left-handed hitting Logan Maxwell. Balance stance. And he takes a called strike on the outside. Breaking ball. Catches the zone at the knees from Grotus. And a really nice year for Chris Grotus, the redshirt sophomore who has dealt with injuries as well.
Quick little pause in the action here as home plate umpire Gregory Street was just taking down some notes.
So too was first base umpire Jeff Head. 0-1. Grotus looks to first, comes home. And it's off the outside. Duggar sliding to his left. A ball and a strike to Maxwell, who is 1 for 2 with a walk.
And Grotus to Maxwell is throwing 2 curveballs. Otherwise, he's throwing all fastballs.
Maxwell, a transfer from TCU, 3rd leading hitter on the team. And he swings and fouls it off to the left. A ball and 2 strikes.
Man, that was hit hard into the second deck. That was 92 miles per hour off the bat. And it looked like it tagged a chair, a seat in the second deck, and fell back down.
1st and 3rd, 2 outs. We're in the last of the 7th inning. 1-2 to Maxwell. Grotus kicks and throws. Down and away, no chase. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Maxwell actually faced UCLA while with the Horned Frogs last season. They played very early on. He went 2 for 4 with a couple of doubles off of Michael Barnett. Now a senior playing with Arkansas. And he swings away and hits it into the left center field gap. Bruins converging. They will not get there. It'll bounce all the way to the wall. 1 run is in. Aloy around third. He scores. And the Razorbacks have blown it open now. Logan Maxwell, the 2 RBI double to make it 5-0.
Opposite field double for Maxwell. And that split the gap perfectly right to that 375 sign in left center field. 102 miles per hour off the bat, so he got all of that one. And Savage bringing in Grotus to hopefully try and keep the lead where it is, but unfortunately for the Bruins, 5-0 Arkansas on 9 hits. Now UCLA facing a really big deficit.
And they intentionally walked Aloy to get to Maxwell, and he says, "You want to pitch to me? Fine." And he has potentially put this game out of reach for UCLA. Certainly a much taller task for the Bruins, and it's going to be it for Chris Grotus. Bruins will have to go to the bullpen again. Now it looks like it is Jack O'Connor trotting on in. Grotus just 9 pitches, and he faced 4 batters. Did get a couple of outs. But Arkansas, there's a reason they're the number 3 overall seed in this tournament. And looking like it tonight. Great fundamental baseball and striking when they have the opportunity. They're now hitting .346 as a team tonight. That was their 3rd extra base hit. The first from someone not named Vahiva Aloy. Meanwhile, UCLA, they're hitting just .130. 3 for 23.
Yeah, and that'll do it. And I mean, coming into this game, Arkansas, they had 7 hitters with over 13 home runs coming into this lineup today, and they have shown why this team is capable of scoring a lot of runs. All things considered, the Bruins had held them to just 2 runs for the vast majority of the game, but unfortunately that double there after the intentional walk to Vahiva Aloy ended up costing them. Maxwell made them pay. So now it's going to be Jack O'Connor coming into pitch for the Bruins, number 16. Right-handed thrower, also came in and pitched yesterday. And today, excuse me, yeah.
Last game
Last
today.
game. Against LSU.
Yep.
There we go. And
what is time anymore with what the last 24 hours or so have been?
I know. Well, in terms of what he did earlier today, I mean, he only threw an inning, gave up 1 hit, and only threw 15 pitches at that. But he has been a pretty good pitcher for the Bruins throughout the season so far. And, you know, it's not necessarily a tight game anymore, but he's trying to keep that damage exactly where it is with that 5-0 lead that Arkansas has.
Well, in terms of earned run average, he's been UCLA's best relief pitcher this year. A 1.69 ERA as he makes his 27th appearance. Tied for the 3rd most on the team. He's thrown 26 2/3 innings, holding teams to a .214 batting average. And he will face Ryder Helfrich here in a moment. With the runner on second, that's Logan Maxwell. And Arkansas having opened up a 5-0 lead. 2 runs in the first, another in the 5th, and 2 more here in the 7th. And this elimination game, Bruins offensively with only 6 more outs to work with. Winner will get LSU tomorrow night, needing to beat the Tigers twice. In bracket 1, it'll be Coastal against Louisville. That'll be in the afternoon. Louisville has to win twice to advance to the championship series. Here we go. O'Connor against Helfrich. First pitch found straight back into the screen. Slider towards the outside for strike 1. And O'Connor, another one of these pitchers that has been injured for years for UCLA. Redshirt sophomore. Future very bright for this team. And that one's down and away. And that is, of course, in today's age of college athletics, assuming you can keep everyone together, But this team stuck together through the fall when they were practicing at junior colleges and local high schools, and perhaps brought them together even more so. 1-1 pitch. That's over the plate. A little over the top break there from O'Connor. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now looked like a slider on that pitch. But a lot of cool stories for this team this year. There's still some game to go.
No pitch. Down and away. 2-2. Helfrich 0 for 3. UCLA, one of 3 West Coast teams to reach the College World Series this year. John Savage was very proud of that. UCLA, the last one left standing. Swing and a miss. Got him. And that'll end the inning. Slider on the outside. Helfrich went chasing. And O'Connor comes in and promptly gets the final out here in the 7th. But Arkansas adds a run on 1 hit with 1 left aboard. We go to the 8th. It's the Razorbacks 5, the Bruins nothing. Six more outs for UCLA. It is do or die time for the Bruins. They trail Arkansas 5-0 as they hit here in the top of the 8th. Duggar, Call, and West due up for UCLA. Aiden Jimenez continues on the mound for Arkansas. 2 scoreless so far for him after 5 scoreless for the starter, Zach Root. And a first pitch strike at the knees from Jimenez. 0-1 to Duggar, who is 0 for 2. Into his motion, the pitch. Swing and a miss. A little slider there that was elevated, and Duggar couldn't get it. 0-2. Go back to the Murray State game. 17 straight innings without allowing a run for Arkansas.
That's incredible.
Their pitching has been impressive. Does not get the call at the corner here with the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-2 now to Cash Duggar, sophomore out of Castle Pines, Colorado. Crouch stance from the left side. The pitch. Down and in. A breaker there, and Duggar lays off. 2-2. Grew up in Castle Pines, and we learned this week he is named after a castle.
He is.
Overshift on to the right side, and that's down low. 3-2. So they've got the overshift where they put Kojal into shallow right field and put Iredale, the third baseman, at normal second base depth. Payoff pitch, fouled into the screen, came in on the hands.
Look like 89 miles per hour on the inside part of the plate. Duggar's been doing a good job of just being able to inside out these pitches the other way. The infield still shifted over to the pull side, so the right side of the infield.
Jimenez kicks and throws. Breaking ball and another check swing foul. And it looked like Duggar just let the bat fall in his hands there.
I mean, it was to the point where our TrackMan data didn't even record an exit speed on that. It was just like, I don't know. That's what TrackMan was saying.
It wasn't a swing in the traditional sense. He just sort of let the bat fall down and make some contact. Fighting, though, as he leads off the 8th. Another 3-2. And another foul ball. He pulls it foul on the right side this time. And so the next pitch will be the 10th of the at-bat here.
Almost hit one of the equipment managers down there, Levi.
He's up on the railing. He's on alert.
Certainly is now.
See if Duggar can get aboard. UCLA trying to make up a 5-0 deficit. Long look home here for Jimenez. He throws, and another foul. And each one getting the dugout more and more boisterous.
And at the very least, you love to see a battle. Pham made a nice catch on that foul ball. And Jimenez gets a new ball.
Still 3-2. Pitch number 11 of the at-bat coming up. And it bounces in, ball 4. Duggar works a walk. And the dugout fired up for UCLA, trying to start a rally.
I mean, that's just a job well done. To get to 11 pitches in an at-bat and induce the walk, that's classic UCLA baseball. And it just brings them back to that second leadoff hitter in the lineup in Phoenix Call.
It's the first base runner UCLA has against Jimenez. So force him into the stretch for the first time tonight. And this has often been the recipe, getting this lineup card flipped over. Phoenix Call at the plate. And he takes that just off the outside. Jimenez shaking his head. He wanted that call, did not get it. 1-0. Still just 3 hits tonight for UCLA. They have just as many walks. 2 of those 3 hits came back in the first inning. The other came in the 5th, courtesy of Peyton Brennan. And there's a line drive to right field, but it's hanging up. Coming in, Maxwell makes the catch. And now Duggar has to hustle back to first, and he's there safely. There's some solid contact from Phoenix Call, but tracked down quickly by Maxwell. And I think Duggar got excited like we did with the sound of that one and nearly got himself too far off of first base.
And Diggs, the right fielder, he came up throwing there. I mean, that was a pretty wide lead that Duggar had off of that line drive. So Diggs came and threw that ball in to first base. A pretty online throw, a 1-hop over to Robinette, who's now at first base.
Excuse me, Kendall Diggs is the new right fielder, just checked in. And there's a called strike to Dean West, who I don't think has been on the same page with Gregory Street all night.
No, he's been, let's say, having an argumentative vibe with him. Is that a word? Argumentative. There you go.
There we go. We got there. High and outside, 1-1.
I knew something was off.
Just the inflection.
There you go.
Got your point across. 1-on-1 out here in the top of the 8th. And UCLA trying to get on the board, down 5-zip. Dean West at the dish. The pitch is fouled. Back beyond home plate.
Fouled into the second deck directly behind home plate. A lot of foul balls heading our way today. I mean, there's still a lot of ball game left. You think we might get one?
They're trying to get you one.
I would love one. I mean, Rock almost hit one this way.
1-2 to Dean West. He's 1 for 3 tonight. And he lifts this one in the left center field. That's down for a base hit. It'll be cut off by the left fielder, Davalon, but Duggar will be able to go first to third. And here's UCLA rallying here on the 8th, down 5-0, but they've got him on the corners with 1 out.
And you got to remember, this UCLA team is one of the best and staging rallies to come back into games. Now, certainly a 5-run deficit that they have to climb back from, but Dean West hitting this ball well off the bat the other way. It was a fastball, middle and low. Off the bat, 97 miles per hour. Now, Dean West, the leadoff hitter, so that brings up Rock Chalowski. And to reference, that's 25 comeback wins this season, and that's tied for 4th most in D1 baseball.
UCLA has 3 comebacks after trailing by 5 or more runs, and there's a bouncer to short by Chalowski. Aloy steps on second, on to first, double play, and just like that, the inning is over. It's been a tough College World Series for Rock Chalowski. First pitch swinging, grounds into a 6, unassisted, on to 3, twin killing, and UCLA kept off the scoreboard in the 8th. After 7.5 here in Omaha, it's Arkansas 5, UCLA nothing. Last of the 8th inning coming up, and Arkansas looking to add some insurance. They lead UCLA 5-0 in this elimination game, and UCLA has just been stymied at every turn, just at first and third and 1 out, and Rock Chalowski grounds into a double play. One of the last things you would expect, but it's been that kind of day for the Bruins. They have already lost once today to LSU, 9-5 in a game that spanned over 2 days, and now about 6 hours in between. They play another game here tonight with their season on the line, and Arkansas has been in control throughout. Justin Lee's going to pitch here for the Bruins, make his first appearance of the postseason, facing Kojal, Kuhio Aloy, and Reese Robinette, 5, 6, and 7 in the lineup. So Lee, the sophomore, not only gets an opportunity to pitch here in the postseason, but on this stage here in Omaha.
Yeah, good opportunity for him to get back on the mound after some time.
Fires a fastball high and outside to begin the at-bat. Ball 1. Lee last pitched in this ballpark against Nebraska in the Big 10 title game. Had a scoreless frame then. Kojal takes outside again. Another fastball from Lee, getting those up to 94 miles per hour. But he's behind, 2 balls and no strikes. Lee, of course, operated as the closer for the first part of the season. A 6.32 ERA, 3-0 with 5 saves. His 30th appearance here, and he's fallen behind 3-0. Another high fastball.
Yeah, for him, the challenge has been, well, really keeping that fastball in the zone. I mean, he's got good velocity. He's got good stuff. He throws overhand, like over the top rather. That fastball in the mid-90s, a good curveball as well. But just getting that in the strike zone and attacking hitters has been his Achilles heel.
And that one is inside, ball 4. A 4-pitch walk on 4 fastballs. And another leadoff walk for Arkansas, just like they got in the 8th inning. And between this game and the LSU game, seems like every time the opponent gets a leadoff walk, it ends up coming around to score.
Yeah, and at the very least comes around and costs this pitching staff valuable pitches. John Savage, for a quick moment there, was on the top of the dugout steps, but now back sitting on his bucket. But meanwhile, there's a mound visit happening between Cash Duggar, the catcher, Brock Chalowski, the shortstop, and Justin Lee, as home plate umpire Gregory Steele is making a dramatic walk. Look at that walk. He's strutting. Now he's like, hey guys, we got to keep going with this game.
Now UCLA does have action in the bullpen. Ryan Reese is out there.
Also looks like Easton Hawk getting loose with his J-bands on the fence.
Now there's another righty throwing over there as well. Might be August Souza. Tough to get a read way out there.
Yeah, the bullpen here in Omaha is down the right field line, as another quick pause in the activities as John Savage now having a conversation with home plate umpire Gregory Steele. What do you think they're talking about?
I wondered if he wanted to come talk with Justin Lee, but now that the conference already happened, that if he came out, he'd maybe have to take him out of the game.
Yeah, it counts as a second mound visit maybe.
So quick chat there. The skipper back to the dugout. And now here is Kuhio Aloy, 1 for 3.
And the Aloy brothers have been absolutely raking today.
They've got 3 hits between them. And there's a breaking ball off the outside. Gets away from Duggar behind the plate a bit. And advancing up to second goes Kojal. That was in the glove. And just didn't squeeze it all the way.
I mean, just to add insult to injury on that 4-pitch walk. I mean, a first pitch slider, first one of the day. Cash Duggar, who has been great all week behind the plate.
The pitch. And that is Sky. Popped him up, foul ground, first base side. Lavu says he's got it, and he does. Right near the track in front of his own dugout. And there's the first out here in the 8th. Aloy is retired.
It's a big first out, but that runner still in scoring position at second base. But a big out and valuable to get Aloy out in particular.
That was Justin Lee's first pitch in the zone.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's Robinette, left-handed hitter. Bruins will shift over to the right side. Chalowski right behind the second base bag, holding on that runner. Swing and a miss. Right on the outside corner, and Robinette threw it. He is 0 for 3. 5 runs on 9 hits with an error and 5 left for Arkansas. No runs on 4 hits. No errors and 5 left for UCLA, as there's a check on Kojal, but he's back safely. Arkansas 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. UCLA 0 for 4. Pitch down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. A slider there from Lee. When we do get to the 9th inning, UCLA will have Lavu, Martin, and Salgado due up down to their final 3 outs of the season. As Lee misses low again, 2 balls and a strike. Started this time in Omaha. 8 teams on Friday. Be down to just 4 at the end of tonight. Hard hit grounder into the shift. Call knocks it down, picks it up, and throws out Robinette at first. 2 away as Kojal advances to third.
And I mean, I think Phoenix Call was glad he was on the grass on that one. That one left his bat at 107 miles per hour. And in spite of that speed, Call had to get his body in front of it, but made the block in the 4-3 putout.
Now UCLA will shift over to the left side of the diamond for the third baseman, Iredale. Runner on third, 2 outs. And that one bounces in. Duggar picks it up. Lee trying to cover, but it's not in time. Good heads-up base running by Kojal. Immediately as that one skipped to Duggar's right and in front of the plate, he realized he was going to have a chance to score and did not hesitate. And it's now 6-0.
Yeah, it's just rough. I mean, it was a curveball that ended up going, I don't know, 58 feet. By the time Justin Lee was able to get to home plate, as this ball went in front of the plate, Lee had to do an awkward sort of front hand tag.
And he misses inside here, so it's 2-0 to Iredale as the lead has grown even more.
And it really shows you how walks can kill you.
A second consecutive inning, a leadoff walk has scored. Swing and a miss, 2-1. Lee coming inside with the fastball, and Iredale missed it.
At 94 miles per hour. He's got good velocity. Again, the stuff is there. The slider is also very good. It's just a matter of really getting it to locate in for strikes.
Inside with the changeup. 3 balls and a strike. Lee still going out of the stretch here, as he does, whether there's somebody on base or not. And up and away, ball 4. So that's 2 walks in the inning for Justin Lee. And this 8th inning will continue.
Yeah, he's faced 4 batters so far, has fallen behind 3 of them. Even on that ground out that he was able to get that 1 out, or excuse me, the 2nd out of the inning, was down to a 2-1 count. And so certainly just another example of what he needs to work on is obviously just being in the zone.
So a chance for the center fielder, Justin Thomas Jr. to hit. Keep the shift over to the left side. And there's the breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. And more to your point for Justin Lee, he's got 28 strikeouts on the year, but that's now 27 walks in 32 innings. Comes home, and that bounces in, and Duggar able to block it. He has been busy here in the 8th inning. That is the nature, though, with that over-the-top breaking ball from Lee. You're going to get a lot more in the dirt that you have to handle if you're a catcher.
Yeah, it makes it hard to do.
The pitch. There goes the runner from first. Duggar's throw is offline. It'll get into center field. Iredale onto his feet and over to third. The wheels are starting to fall off a little bit here for UCLA. Usually short up operation. Had a couple of wild pitches here in the inning. Now an errant throw down to second. 2-1 at the plate to Justin Thomas Jr. as UCLA is just trying to get out of this 8th inning.
And no reaction from John Savage in the dugout throughout the entirety of that sequence.
And there's a liner down the left field line, base hit. It's now 7-0. West will cut it off before it can get to the corner. Rifles the throw in, but standing on second is Thomas Jr. with a double.
So with that hit, Arkansas now in the double digits, 10 hits on the game, 7 runs. They scored in each of the last 2 innings, both with 2 spots respectively. And with that, John Savage making the slow walk out. That's going to be it. Couple of pitchers who are in the bullpen, Easton Hawk and Ryan Reeses, the lefty. And we'll see who he goes with here, as both are getting loose. But the dugout for the Bruins stepping out onto foul territory on the grass to welcome in Justin Lee back into the dugout here. Still not quite sure.
I think they're buying time for Easton Hawk, and in fact, he's going to make the call for Reeses. Points with the left hand, so perhaps Hawk not quite ready. And so it will be a left-on-left matchup. Charles Davalon will be the batter, and Reeses will get the call. Arkansas has opened it up, 2 runs in each of the last 2 innings to make it a 7-0 lead. And a lot of the fans now heading for the exits here at Charles Schwab Field. Justin Lee getting the chance to pitch here, but having a tough time locating the zone with consistency. Well, for UCLA, still have the 3 outs to work with, but that mountain is getting taller and taller in front of them here in this elimination game. I would argue that this team was maybe a year ahead of schedule, though. All the sophomores, you know that if you can keep this team together, UCLA probably going to be a preseason top 10 team next year. You've got 7 true sophomores, a redshirt sophomore in Peyton Brennan, and then A.J. Salgado, the only one in the lineup who is not going to return. You look at this pitching staff, vast majority have the option to return next year. And so this sets up very well for UCLA to make a heck of a run in 2026. Now, no guarantees, of course. You've seen, Vanderbilt and Texas didn't even make it out of the first weekend. Some of the best teams throughout the course of the season didn't even get to the Supers, but a lot of optimism for this program going into next year, given what they did with this sophomore-heavy group.
Yeah, and I mean, 3/4 of this roster are underclassmen, to your point. And I mean, just even other individual players who are returning. Rock Chalowski, Nick Hauser Award winner, just a sophomore and had really an excellent campaign, 23 home runs. Mulivai Lavu also similarly over 80 RBIs. That crew, I mean, just alone, let alone all the other pieces that you mentioned as well, along with the pitching staff. This is a team, to your point, I think it's very true that this is a team that was very much ahead of schedule. And when you consider all of the teams that ended up making it to Omaha, UCLA definitely flew under the radar. Certainly you heard about Cinderella stories like Murray State for obvious reasons, but UCLA first year in the Big Ten co-champions, made it all the way to the championship of the Big Ten tournament, and of course, swept a regional, swept a super regional, hosted both a regional and a super regional at Jackie Robinson Stadium. And of course, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, just a team that, really stuck together in the fall, practicing at high schools and local community colleges while the stadium situation at Jackie Robinson Stadium was still unclear. And so there are a lot of really cool storylines and a lot of great takeaways that I'm sure John Savage is very proud of.
And you mentioned Rock Chalowski. In this day and age of college baseball and NIL, a lot of people throwing out that some team might try to lure him away, but Chalowski has maintained that this is the place that he wants to be. It's the only place he has wanted to be. And shaping up to be a really special junior season. It's been a special sophomore season. Davalon hitting, and he takes outside from Reeses. Ball 1. So the leadoff man back at the plate for the 5th time today for Arkansas. Reeses, his 20th appearance this year. With the runner on second and 2 outs, and he gets a pop-up. Shallow left field, Chalowski back from short, calling for it to his right. He makes the catch. And that'll end things here in the 8th inning for the Razorbacks. But they had 2 runs on 1 hit with 1 left aboard. UCLA down to its final 3 outs when we return. It's Arkansas 7, UCLA nothing. UCLA and its 2025 season down to its final 3 outs as we go to the 9th inning here in Omaha. The Bruins trailing Arkansas 7-0 in this elimination game. New pitcher for the Hogs, Will McIntyre, 5th-year senior. They'll look to finish it off for Arkansas. He's got a 2.59 ERA this year in 17 appearances. 24 innings pitched for the tall right-hander. 28 strikeouts, just 3 walks. Big guy at 6'4", 235, and an Arkansas native. Arkansas can surely now think about tomorrow night, where they will take on LSU unless UCLA has a miraculous comeback in store. Levi leads it off for the Bruins. And the first pitch up and in, turns out of the way. It's even with his shoulder, ball 1.
Slider up and in, 7 inches of break that went right into Lavu.
UCLA held to just 4 hits in this one. No pitch. Fastball over the plate at the belt at 90 miles per hour. Count evens 1-1. Lavu to be followed by Martin and Salgado. Everybody up on the dugout step for the Bruins. And the pitch outside, 2 balls and a strike. Lavu this evening is 0 for 3. Looks like he will finish as the number 2 RBI man in the nation this year.
Heck of a season.
85 of them. A pitch, swing and a miss. Little slider there, and Lavu over top of it, 2-2.
Couple of sliders in this at-bat. McIntyre on the mound, evening it up at 2-2.
Root went 5 scoreless. Jimenez 3 scoreless. Now it's McIntyre. 2-2. And that is shot down the right field line. A fair ball. Now that'll get all the way towards the corner. Diggs tracks it down. And Lavu is on second. Diggs having trouble getting it out. Lavu's going for third. Here's the throw. Not in time. Nico Gallego helping up Levi Lavu with the triple. His second of the season. And how about that? Bruins 90 feet away from getting on the board as Lavu took a look to the corner. That one bounced around a while. And Diggs took his time tracking that one down. So Lavu standing on third for Martin.
I mean, he unhitched the trailer there. This ball went into that corner, as we've talked about previously, that once it gets in that corner, it's almost like a black hole over there. Levi Lavu, as he rounded second, he was like, no, I'm getting 3.
A big smile on his face as Martin takes a strike on the outside, 0-1. Martin is 0 for 2 with a walk. Now, can the Bruins avoid what would be a 3rd shutout of the season? Potentially a 2nd one in this ballpark. The other coming in the Big Ten championship game. Fastball fouled straight back and out of play. So 0-2 to Roman Martin. Tell Lavu was out of breath there. He was just laying on top of the third base bag for a second. I think I could hear Kellen Levy telling Nico Gallego that he couldn't help him up. Come on, man. He's out of breath. It's been a long day. Martin fouls another. Still 0-2.
Another foul ball up in our direction. Getting closer.
Yeah, you're just trying to will this into existence.
I mean, I'll try. When in Omaha, you know?
Runner on third. Nobody out here in the top of the 9th. Bruins trying to get on the board, down 7-0, and Martin battling against McIntyre. Here's the pitch. And that bounced in front of the plate, but blocked well by Helfrich. Just rolls to his left, holding Lavu over there at third. Well, this has been a heck of an extended weekend here in Omaha. First time for each of us, first time for the Bruins in 12 years. And it is a special place. Can't recommend it enough if you have the opportunity to get out here. Swing and a miss. Got him. Martin chases the breaking ball and down on strikes. One away here in the ninth.
And 2 outs away for Arkansas. That was an 84-mile-per-hour slider down in the dirt. Roman Martin chasing after it. And that's the conclusion, at least for now, for Roman Martin on the season. But, I mean, hey, what an excellent postseason Roman Martin has had.
Excellent in the latter half of the year. Up to 61 batted in on the season. He just got better and better and had elite defense throughout. Here's A.J. Salgado. And that's down low. Ball 1. Salgado has a line out, a ground out, and a strikeout. McIntyre set. Crowd hushed. And Salgado takes a strike on the outside. Fastball there. 1-1.
Fastball in there at 90 miles per hour. Looked like maybe a little off the plate.
That's what I was thinking. 1-1. McIntyre's pitch is fisted to third. That's a fair ball, and it gets by Iredale into no man's land down the left field line. Salgado into second. He's there safely. Aloy couldn't glove it cleanly. And UCLA is on the board here in the ninth. Lavu able to score. A cue shot there from Salgado to plate the first run of the game. He winds up on second.
I mean, they got a run, but I mean, they did it in the most unconventional way. Ended up getting to second base, and I mean, at third base, I think Iredale, he just got some weird knuckling spinning motion on it, and he just kind of underran it, in fact. Was to the left of the ball. And Salgado's a good runner as that ball kind of progressed into foul territory behind third base. Salgado able to get to second base.
They do call it an error on Iredale, but give the RBI to Salgado. Peyton Brennan takes a strike on the outside. UCLA has just had a tough time with the outside part of the zone, I think, tonight. It's just been a little different than they've been used to seeing for much of the season.
Yeah, they haven't been too thrilled with it.
Runner in scoring position for Brennan, who swings and misses. That breaking ball bottomed out, and it's 0-2. 7-1 now here in the top of the ninth. Runner on second and one away.
Now on the dugout railing, it appears the Bruins are doing their rally signal, which looks like is that a string cheese that they're dipping in dirt?
I'm not sure what that is.
It looks like it.
The pitch. Bounce in front of the plate. Helfrich keeps this one in front. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And kind of going back to that string cheese in the dirt thing.
You can't let it go?
I don't know what it is, but I support it. You got to do what you got to do. It's a weird game.
Don't have to go back too far. UCLA made up a 9-run deficit in the 9th inning once. Different set of circumstances as Brennan knocks it softly on the first base side. Picked up by McIntyre. Throws it over the head at first base. That'll score Salgado. Brennan over to second. And now it's 7-2.
Because why not? I mean, just a couple of miscues from Arkansas's defense here in the late going. Now, they came into this inning. Had they were able to complete this game in the shutout, it would have been 18 innings of shutout baseball, but apparently their defense said maybe not. Now, this ball was just thrown by McIntyre over to first base, Robinette, and it was just way off. Meanwhile, Brennan ends up getting to second base, and we're taking a look at the replay. He fields the ball with his bare hand, and he kind of just absolutely chucked that down the line. I mean, it wasn't even close.
It was like a hot potato.
He was just like, get this out of here. And
it wasn't so much high as it was wide. He threw it so far into foul territory.
I mean, like, one of the funniest things about, especially being a former pitcher in practice, is when pitchers will have difficulty doing PFPs and throwing it to first base because they're so used to throwing on the mound and hitting their locations that way. But I remember a time where similarly there was like this one pitcher had to throw it to first base, and if we did, we wouldn't have to do conditioning after practice. What did this guy do? He airmailed it over the bullpen into the street down the line. And so, I mean,
that sounds like he did it on purpose.
I mean, that was on brand for this guy. So, either way, quick little mound visit there from pitching coach Matt Hobbs, who came out to talk to McIntyre after really a disastrous couple of plays, where now it's a 5-run deficit, 7-2.
So they give Brennan credit for a single, and then the throwing error for McIntyre does not get credit for an RBI, and the run is unearned, and Espinoza fouls off the first pitch. So Brennan on second. Still just one out here in the top of the ninth. If it makes the Arkansas fans a little uneasy, that's quite all right with us. Espinoza, second time at the plate, and that bounces in front of home plate. Helfrich blocks it, redirects it up the third base line. 1-1 to the redshirt freshman, Aiden Espinoza. He grounded out to short. First time up in the 7th.
I mean, hey, it's always nice to have a little bit of tension to close off a game.
Make him earn it.
Absolutely, especially in Omaha. Under the lights.
1-1 pitch. And that's another ball in the dirt. 2-1. And Arkansas has had to get Dylan Carter, their fifth-year senior right-hander, up and throwing.
Which is not ideal.
He's one of their best bullpen arms.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's a 5-run game. Obviously, they're going to have to come back tomorrow and play LSU should they win this game. And ideally would not want to use more pitching than they have to.
2-1. Now the pitch. And Espinoza gets it off the end of the bat, lifting it into the right center field gap. Diggs will defer to Thomas Jr., who makes the catch. Brennan tags and advances to third. And now UCLA is down to its final out.
And they're finally able to make a put away. I mean, that was 2 errors in a row. The error down the third base line by the third baseman Iredale. Then pitcher McIntyre getting the fly out, I guess, to medium right center. And now UCLA season down to 1 out.
And it is Cash Duggar to hit. Another left-handed bat here for the Bruins. Duggar 0 for 2 with a walk. And he takes that first pitch, ball 1. And as you've seen, McIntyre put a lot of balls down low in the dirt. You can just take here a couple pitches if you are Duggar. Brennan on third, 2 away. The pitch. And that's a called strike at the belt on the outside, 1-1. Seven to 2, Arkansas here in the ninth. The Bruins will not be shut out. How long can they extend it? 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Duggar tardy on the fastball. 1-2. All the Arkansas fans on their feet. If they want to get to the championship series, they have to earn it the hard way through the losers bracket. One more strike to finish off the Bruins. The pitch, and Duggar fouls it back and out of play. Remember last time he was at the plate in the 8th inning against Jimenez, able to work a walk on 10 pitches.
Of course, Duggar doesn't want to go down easy. Now an overshift, actually. Third baseman Iredale. He's all the way over at second base. So at third, Brennan left completely wide open.
I mean, put down a bunt, right?
Extend the lead.
Here's the pitch. And that bounces through the 5-hole of Helfrich, and Brennan scores. It's now 7-3.
This inning gets weirder and weirder, doesn't it?
It does. It has not been a button-up operation for either side. I mean, UCLA had its own issues in the 8th inning. If they don't have their errors, the walks, the wild pitches, and those 2 runs score, I mean, they could be within a couple of runs here. Of course, they're still down 4. It's 2-2 to Cash Duggar. And the pitch. And that bounces in, full count. And the Arkansas fans uneasy now.
I mean, this has turned into a really strange inning. In a game where UCLA has struggled to find offense, they have found it in a really unorthodox way.
At just 2 hits in this inning to plate 3. The 3-2. Down low, ball 4. This game will continue.
And I think maybe the string cheese in the dirt is working, as the dugout is certainly enjoying this. They are, oh my gosh, they are really mobbing down there.
I mean, at this point, if you're UCLA, it's probably the loosest they're able to play all game.
Because you have nothing to lose, quite literally.
You enter this inning down 7-0. You've been able to plate 3, aided by a couple of Arkansas errors. They're up to 3 of them in this game now. And this has been one of the best fielding teams in the country all season long. One of the few teams better than UCLA. Phoenix call. Takes a strike over the inside at 90 miles per hour. Strike 1. Runner on first in Duggar. 2 away here in the 9th. Call is the 7th to hit here. This night can't end soon enough for Arkansas. We'll stay here as long as it takes.
Absolutely.
0-1 pitch. Inside. Another fastball below the elbow of Call. 1-1.
And I mean, that pitch was pretty clearly inside. Arkansas fans obviously would like that to be a strike, but that was several baseballs off the plate.
Infield, normal depth, except for Iredale at third, creeping in. No pitch. And Call fouls it off the mask of Helfrich. Once again, the Bruins down to their final strike. 1-2. 7-3 Arkansas in the top of the 9th. UCLA going down swinging. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Phoenix Call. And now McIntyre sets. He throws. And Call fouls it down the right field line into the seats.
Call continuing to make him battle. I mean, it's a 1-2 count. That was a good pitch, a slider on the outside. McIntyre throwing quite a few pitches, 32 in total.
I was just about to identify that. It has been a long 9th inning for him and Arkansas. It started with that LaVue triple into the corner. Here's the pitch. And Call hits a liner to center field, holding up, and it's caught by Thomas Jr. to end the ball game. And Arkansas can finally breathe. They have vanquished UCLA, and the Bruins' outstanding 2025 season comes to an end here in Omaha. 7-3, the final score. UCLA will finish the year at 48-18. Arkansas picks up their 50th win of the season. They will advance to face LSU in the bracket final. One of the last 4 teams remaining now. And for UCLA, absolutely nothing to hang their heads about. A team coming off a 19-win season finishes the year here in Omaha and put up a heck of a fight here against LSU and Arkansas in the same day. Hats off to the Bruins. They have provided us and their fans a very special season.
I mean, just the opportunity to see this team compete all year. And I mean, you referenced that 19 win count. Now they're at 48-18. I mean, talk about a turnaround. Certainly John Savage has had conversations in the media about how proud he is of this team. And certainly I can speak for both of us in terms of being able to watch this team all season, starting all the way back in February, and seeing them kind of gel together and come together. Obviously, the character was there in this team, and the youth is there too. And we referenced how most of these guys are coming back next year. So with all of that in mind, it's been such a joy and a privilege to be able to watch them and see them get all the way here to Omaha.
Yeah, Yeah, that certainly is the hope, that this team that stuck it out through the tribulations of the fall continues to stick it out here through the offseason. This is a team that is very close, so we certainly expect most of these guys to stick around, and hope they realize that they have another opportunity next season to have a terrific year. The growth out of this team in the span of 1 year has been exceptional, and very thankful to have been a small part of it here and to do it with you all season long. And it's been a heck of a magic carpet ride here in the postseason. Perfect on their home field in the regionals and the super regionals, and a 1-2 showing here in Omaha. They were the 5th team left standing, and they go down here to Arkansas as the season comes to a close. But I think true to this team, they fight there in that 9th inning, and you know what? You're down 7-0. You've got nothing to lose, and it was fun to watch. We were laughing a little bit with how hard Arkansas had to work to get those final 3 outs, but very indicative of UCLA to go down fighting just like they did.
I mean, that was the most fun way to lose, honestly. Just seeing,
it's a good way of putting it.
Just seeing the joy in the dugout with all of the really random ways that 9th inning manifested. And I mean, even out there on the field, the entire team giving each other hugs, coaches out there as well, waving to their fans in the stands. And certainly Arkansas, of course, continuing in the College World Series, but at least for this UCLA team, they get to end their season in Omaha. And I think that was obviously the goal, and certainly they were able to achieve it. But I'm personally really excited to see next year how this team continues to gel together. And kind of got to ask you, Nick, I mean, what's been like your favorite part about this team? Like, what in particular for you has been the most, I don't know, joy-inducing?
I think it's just the way they play. Again, you see it here tonight. No one expects them to come back from down 7-0, much less put up the fight like they did. There was just this word's thrown around a lot for teams that have a good year, but there was a lot of resiliency. You know, this wasn't a typical John Savage pitching staff, in that they did not have that ace that goes 7 innings. You know, he's used to having 1, if not 2 of those guys. For him, he really had to piece it together this year, and I think really showed all that he's capable as a head coach and a pitching coach. And the way you saw it all come together, where, you know, there were up and downs when it came to the pitching, some tough spots. You had to learn the roles. They got it figured out late in the year, so rewarding to see all of that. And the way this offense just passed the baton and could do things in a myriad of ways. This was the best power hitting team for UCLA that they've had since that 2019 team. That was the #1 overall seed. And the way they play defense, I mean, they really were such a complete team in many ways. And they get here and are one of the last 8, and they run into some other very good teams that were perhaps just a little bit better. But UCLA, you've got tons and tons of college baseball teams. They were one of the best this season. And I think it was fitting that they ended up here with how this season expanded and went and grew, just the way it built. You felt early on that there was a lot of potential with this team, and they found it here late in the year.
Yeah, and I think it's been really like beautiful to watch. I mean, also just to provide some context here, this is the 6th College World Series experience under John Savage in this UCLA program.
4th for Savage, 6th for the program.
Yep, that's exactly right. And first Super Regional, obviously, since 2019. And to be able to host a regional, to be able to host a Super Regional at Jackie Robinson Stadium, like, I mean, you can't really ask for a much better season. And I think the future is very bright for this program. Certainly, if, you know, these players choose to stay, which, at least based upon our interactions with the players and certainly their families, it seems as if there's a very tight bond. Meanwhile, looks like Rock Chalowski's headed out to first base to gather some dirt.
Yeah, he's going out to his spot there at shortstop. He is collecting some dirt, putting it in one of the paper cups, and he's got a plastic bag as well. He's going to savor that. He has longed to play in this ballpark, in this stadium. And you know, it's never a sure thing to come back here. And so savor this moment. The team's still milling about here on the first base side and foul ground. Everybody hugging each other because, look, it is the ultimate accomplishment to win the national championship. But it is a heck of an accomplishment just to get to this point and play here in Omaha. And so I think UCLA knows that, they recognize that, and they are showing their appreciation for one another, that they were able to do this as a collective.
Yeah, just a good way to close off the season, and it just feels like, I mean, certainly there's a feeling of sadness, obviously, that their season is coming to an end. I obviously recognize that the team certainly feels that way, but it also feels kind of happy in a way. I mean, especially with the way things ended. I mean, obviously you never want a game to end and